right. We are live. Kingsley is off camera tonight, so you're going to see his avatar. How's everybody doing in chat tonight? Everybody doing okay?
Technically, you're off camera in Discord too.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I got to turn on my virtual camera. My bad. There we go. You should be able to see me now. Once I turn my camera on in. There we go. Boom. Done.
There you go.
How's everybody doing? Everybody looks good here. Hello, JD Kent. I see you're on both platforms. Thank you for that, brother. Appreciate you. Well, it looks like we're all ready to go here. Oh, wait a minute.
You're showing double.
I see that. I'll fix it. Fixing it right now. This is why we're not recording yet. That's so weird how when I went to camera, it switched you over. That's so weird. There we go.
When you want to do so many things, you got to be complicated and deal with the mess. That's why I don't like dealing with mess.
I think there's a better way to do it, and I know there's a cleaner way to do it. The reason why it's a pain in the butt is because I have graphics around our chat boxes. I can easily do like just a plain side by side box like a lot of people do, but I kind of like to dress it up a little bit. But maybe it's just not worth it.
Yeah, but then see that you're asking for trouble. When you want to make it too fancy, it gets more complicated.
Technology will bite you in the ass sometimes. I swear to God.
Right?
Yeah, it will, man. It will. The fancier you get,
what you could do. Well, yeah, we don't have to talk about this right now, but like you could have, if you just take those two windows together into one big window.
That's what I'm gonna do.
You could have graphics below it or something, But
yeah, I can put anything behind it as an image. So yeah, I need to play around with it some more. We're obviously not in our final form yet. We're still working through that. So how's everybody doing tonight? Let's get a podcast done. Got a lot to talk about tonight. I'm just going to warn you, I got a hot take tonight, and not everybody's going to agree with me on this, especially you, Kingsley. I know you're not going to agree with my take tonight, but I'll get into it.
So should we do another bet that you'll lose?
No, it's not going to be a bet. There's no bets on this one. This is speculation. It's all speculation, but I'm just curious. I don't know. I got thinking about it. I'll mention it when we get to that part of the show. But all right, let's do this. Here we go.
I'm ready.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 302 of Guardian Downcast. I'm your host, Todd the Gator, and I'm a Day One Guardian who loves gaming and especially the Destiny franchise. We're the podcast that's all about your stories, your community, and your destiny. This week, my co-host from the great state of Utah, Kingsley Mack, is with me again. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, I'm glad to be here yet once again.
Hey, by the way, I listened to your episode on DPS, Dudes Playing Stuff.
Oh, thanks for listening.
Yeah, I want to give those guys a shout out. They did a really great job. It was a great show. Very entertaining, I thought. I listened to it all the way to the end. And I just have one bone to pick with you, though, because they mentioned that, that our podcast.
Some hot take.
Well, no, they said our podcast was just about one game. And 3 months, 3 weeks out of the month, yes, that is true. It is a Destiny podcast. But what they forget, and maybe they just don't listen to the show anymore, but we do our roundtable every month where we talk about anything. So that's the reason I have that roundtable episode in there, is because
good to bring that up. Yeah.
We can talk about anything. So it makes it really nice. But I do want to give those guys a shout out. It was a great episode. I did keep yelling in my iPhone that chocolate mousse might be on that top 10 dessert list. It's one of my favorite desserts.
That was crazy.
But ice cream smoothie, otherwise known as to normal humans as a milkshake. What the hell? Where does he get these top 10 lists?
I don't know, but obviously we all kind of didn't agree with that. No one calls it an ice cream smoothie.
An ice cream smoothie. Root beer float was another one I wanted to mention. I was yelling at the screen, root beer float. My dad used to make them all the time when I was a kid. Anyway, for those of you who may have just discovered our podcast, we are a weekly gaming show with an emphasis on the Destiny franchise, and we like to sprinkle in a little bit of entertainment, other topics of discussion relating to our hobby from time to time as well. But we've been producing audio episodes for 6 years, almost 6 years now, and we've decided to do live shows. We're part of the hip crowd now, where everyone's doing live shows, and well, not everybody, but it's fun. 'Cause the thing I love about live shows is I get to interact live with the chat. If we're talking about something, someone can chime in and I can highlight it on the screen and we can have a discussion about it. So I love that part of it. But if you are happen to catch us live, welcome. Thank you for being on the show or being with us tonight on the show. If not, you can watch the replays, of course, on my Twitch channel, Todd the Gator, on my YouTube channel of the same name. And you can also join us in the Discord in our live stage channel that is in our Discord community. And that's discord.gg/Guardian Downcast. In this episode, Kingsley Mack and I are going to go over our week in gaming and life like we always do every week. Next, Kingsley Mack is going to go over the Chess Pieces game, the community event. And I believe it's been solved officially, but just want to kind of get a roundup of what you think about that. And we'll of course quickly review This Week in Destiny. That's the weekly Bungie blog that informs us of the current events in Destiny 2. Of course, we stick to the highlights only, and it's a pretty short TWAB this week, so still going to call it a TWAB. And next we'll have our topic of the week. And in this week, I've been thinking a lot about Marathon, the reveal, the subsequent alpha. I've watched and listened to the feedback from Destiny content creators and also extraction shooter creators. And the news is very mixed, but there's some new data that might surprise you, and I have a what-if scenario for the future and viability of Marathon arriving September, but will Bungie do it? I'll explain later in the show what I mean by that, but you decide if it's good input or not, but I'm going to put it out there into the world anyway, and we'll see what Kingsley thinks about it here. As we do nearly every week, we'll look to our Discord community for any questions for the show. We'll go over our results and comments of our Guardian Downcast question of the week. It's where I ask a random question every Monday, and we share the results live on our show. So if you ever want to participate in our question of the week, it's a survey, usually multiple choice or all many choices. It just depends on what we're asking. But look for our channel in our Guardian Downcast Discord section of channels, and it's called Question of the Week. It's a very chill show tonight, kind of just chilled out. So if everyone's ready, let's roll.
Hey, this is Mr. Monkey, not Killer Monkey, not Monocle Monkey, Mr. Monkey. Get your bounties done. You're listening to Guardian Downcast.
All right, well, let's catch up with our week, Kingsley. Obviously, you've been very busy, on the DPS podcast, but what else you been up to this week, man? Catch everybody up.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I've talked about it on this show yet, or probably anywhere, but I did officially finish Severance all the way through season 2.
You binged it?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh yeah. I mean, I knew I would like it.
Yeah, it's out there.
And it's not that hard to binge it and stuff. And I know maybe I'm a little behind for the people that watched it before, but I'm telling you, people, it's like still one of my favorite shows of all time. Now, admittedly, and most people have this take, season 2 was a little bit less good than season 1. How did you feel? Do you think season 2 holds up or not as good as season 1? Or
well, season 2 is anymore? Well, season 1 is always going to be better because it's new. It's that newish factor, it's like the first version of a movie, and then the sequel, is always not quite as good because the element of surprise isn't there. But I got to admit, the writing was really good in season 2. I enjoyed it. I didn't exactly agree with how it ended. I don't like how it ended, where they're just running off. I'm not going to spoil too much here, but I didn't like that part. I was like, okay, that leaves it wide open, but there's no real finality as far as what I was hoping to get out of the show. But
it wasn't in season 1 either.
Yeah, right. You're right. It's like Destiny. Well, never a solid ending, right? You're just always carrying on the story. Yeah.
Well, I'll get some quick opinions on it. I mean, just because I have to, since I finally. I think it was a little bit different. Like season 1, what I liked better, it's not so much that season 1s always have to be better, but I like how it was more contained, more majority of the time was more in the office, right?
Mhm.
Season 2, they had more expose episodes, like full episodes that were like doing a backstory on a character or fully outside the office or this and that. So I feel like I would give season 1 for me a 9.5, and season 2 I would give like an 8.5 to a 9.
Okay.
And I think it had higher highs but lower lows in season 2 is kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, that camping trip episode was a blast, wasn't it? And that was out
Yeah.
there, man. That one kind of messed with me a
Yeah,
little
that
bit.
was.
It was a good episode, though. Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, I'm just so excited. And here's the thing that really appealed to me more than anything else was all the color theory stuff. I don't know if you've noticed, like red and blue, green, purple, and black are very important colors in the show, mostly red and blue, and they have meanings to them. It's purposeful. They put that in for certain things. And there's a YouTube video you can watch that explains all the reasons what the red and blue means, green, purple, and black. And I was geeking out ever since the first episode when my wife was rewatching it with me, and I'm like, I'm noticing lots of green and then blues and reds, and I don't know what it means yet, but I bet it means something. She's like, I don't know, I didn't think it meant anything. So she didn't even put two and two together, but it really does. Like they done interviews with show creators after the fact, and they had like a color. They actually have an on-site colorist for the show, a staff member that purposely builds the colors in and what they mean and stuff.
I didn't know that. That
really
cool.
appealed to me.
Yeah. It's a lot of symbolism in Severance.
Yeah,
you don't catch it. A lot of it is very subtle. So yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely. All right. So what else you been doing?
So that that, not too much Destiny. I've been finishing up Assassin's Creed a little bit more, just some cleanup quests and stuff. And then I'm really considering starting this game that came out of nowhere for me, but it's contender for Game of the Year.
I think,
and everyone's kind of giving it like a 9 or higher. Have you heard of Expedition 33?
Yeah, it's like a French game, right? A French theme. Yeah, I watched Astacross play a little bit of it this week.
Yeah, like it's kind of like French developers and the people in the game maybe have like a slight accent, but good English acting for the version that we have, but it's definitely JRPG style, like a Final Fantasy, but a little more action based. So it's mostly turn based, but they try to add in some live action also. So typically I'm not going to be for a JRPG type game, but I watched some playthrough. The story is amazing, and the way that they're doing it actually looks like I could like this game. So it's a high contender for like me checking out within the next week or so as another game that I might play.
Okay. Yeah, it looked promising. There's a lot of dialogue from what I heard. A lot, like 5 minutes of dialogue.
As
sometimes.
Those games will, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Final Fantasies will do that too. Yeah.
I've been Baldur's Gate 3 has been just staring at me every time I turn my PS5 on, and I think I'm gonna play it before the new content for Destiny rolls out. I tell one of my New Year's resolutions was I was gonna play more games this year and not just play Destiny. And I don't know anything about Baldur's Gate 3. I don't play Dungeons and Dragons, but I think from what I've heard, it's a good introduction into that world. So, and it is turn-based, and I don't know why I don't play more turn-based games. I love turn-based games. I always have since I was, in my early 20s playing games. So, I think I think that's the next game I'm gonna try is Baldur's Gate 3 because I've heard so many good things about it, and of course I already bought it, so makes sense. So what else is up? Yeah.
Maybe we'll talk behind the scenes and see if we want to play it together because I'm highly considering that game also.
Yeah, and you can play co-op, right? It's co-op. You can bring 2 or 3 people in with you. I like it. Yeah, I'll probably spend the first stream I do of it. I'll probably spend an hour just deciding what character to play because I'll sit there and have to read all the descriptions. Okay, what's this guy do? Okay, and find something that fits my play style. So yeah.
Yeah, but that's about it for me. I'm going to be checking out some more shows and games coming up here. I know you'll be leaving on a trip soonish.
Very soon.
I'm going to be going to Vegas, but
yeah, you're going to Vegas. I'm going to the UK. I mean, June is we'll announce that a little bit later. We've got some we got a little shake up in June as far as our programming, and as we get closer to June, we'll explain what's going on that part. But it's been a busy week for me, man. Destiny wise, I did play a Deepstone Crypt raid. I think you couldn't make it that Saturday, so Allocate, you must have tattled on me because Allocate messaged me, says, are you seriously not going to play a raid this Saturday because Kingsley can't make it? I said, well, I thought you guys would want a break from me, you know? And they said, absolutely not. So Allocate, Ronin Red Lion, Zombie Pops, Steel Zealot, and the Scarlet Cam was with
They
us
love
too.
you. They still want to raid.
I
Yes,
had
they-
a great time, man. I did get my Solar 200 RPM Scout Rifle Trusty. It's one of my favorite Scout rifles in the game. And I actually crafted two of them. I crafted one for PvE and one for PvP. My PvE roll, I did an enhanced reconstruction and enhanced incandescent, which I actually used that in another raid I did this week. The second is my PvP roll, and it's enhanced perpetual motion and enhanced opening shot, which for a scout rifle is deadly to get those headshots. But hopefully, you know, we'll be streaming another Deepstone or something this Saturday, usually at 10 p.m. here on my YouTube channel and my Twitch channel. And for those of you maybe want to stop by and see this old man struggle playing video games. I also ran a King's Fall raid with Zombie Pops. He actually ran a middle of the week raid, which my wife and I decided not to see any movies this week at the theater. It's kind of been a dry week, so to speak. There is one movie I want to see called Drop, but I think it's already literally dropping out of the theaters because these independent movies, they only last 2 weeks tops, and they're usually thrown right into digital. But so I said, yeah, what the hell? Let's play a raid this middle of the week on Wednesday, which I don't normally do. But it was Zombie Pops, King Tut, Captain Musty, Steve French, which is Toast, and one of our newer members, Kilvin, who had never run the raid before. And it was kind of a teaching raid, and we got it done. I think it was 2.5 hours. It wasn't too bad. Teaching him all the encounters and stuff. But I had a great time, man. Lots of laughs. I mean, we goof off, and if I messed up or someone messed up, it was like no big deal. It was just a kind of a fun run with a little bit of teaching in it. And that's the one thing I love about raiding. It's always a good time, whether you're, succeeding or failing. If you're failing, just fail big and just have fun with it and not take it too seriously. I did begin to start playing my Guardian Town Cast 2 Destiny characters this week, and I forgot how cool that opening scene is with Heresy. So I had to go through all that opening scene and the opening play to get my artifact to drop. And it really is a good cutscene now that I've watched it again after a little bit of a break. But yeah. I'm playing Iron Banner with it and jumping in, trying to get some of the newer weapons and just level them up. I know it's not as important these days because, with Fireteam, if you get into a raid with a Fireteam member and they're higher, they'll bring you right up power wise. So it doesn't really matter anymore, but just trying to get him in shape because it seems every time we run a raid on Saturdays, it's the Guardian Town Cast 2 clan, and I'm the odd man out. So I'm like, you know what? I told him I'm gonna make sure my GDC 2 guys there this Saturday if we decide to run another raid. So that'll be fun. And I do want to get the Iron Lord title for him. And I feel like this is kind of what I like having about, having different accounts, is I can kind of relive that fun of, leveling up characters and getting titles and stuff. But that's all for my Destiny gaming this week. It's been a busy week. I've been waiting, I've been waiting for Iron Banner to arrive. And of course the new 9 events coming up next week. I did watch a lot of TV shows this week, but I don't normally recommend podcasts, but I happened to see on the Lex Friedman podcast this week, he was interviewing Tim Sweeney, the founder of Epic Games. And they discussed the future of gaming, the Unreal Engine, of course, Fortnite and other gaming stuff. But if you're interested in looking at that one, it's Lex Friedman, and it's episode 467 if you're interested in that kind of stuff. I was just starting to listen to it tonight, and it talks about how he got started and how he wrote his first video games in college and all that stuff. And he had some good advice in there I thought was pretty cool. Entertainment-wise, man, there's so much to watch right now in entertainment. My wife and I did see one movie this last week using my AMC Stubs A-List membership, of course, and we saw The Accountant 2 with, of course, Ben Affleck. I had pretty high hopes for this movie, and we saw it in the big Dolby Theater out at Disney Springs. We got some dinner beforehand. It was a beautiful night, a nice little breeze. Must have been like 75 out. It was just gorgeous night. Not a lot of tourists yet. It's kind of the in-between dead season right now, so we kind of know when to go to the attractions in Orlando here. And it was a really beautiful night. Ben Affleck is this stiff, emotionless accountant that hunts down criminals on the side. And the addition of John Bernthal was a plus. The banter between them was pretty funny and kind of broke up the monotony of the movie. But I did have one problem with the movie. The story was kind of all over the place, or at least how it was presented. I just couldn't put my finger on it, but it was a little convoluted to me. In fact, I even looked over at my wife and I asked my wife, I said, what are they trying to do here again? What's the objective? Why are they going on this big rampage or whatever? And that's not good. That's not good for a movie. You should be able to follow the plot pretty well. I give this one 3.5 stars. It was good, but not great. It might be worth a watch though, once it comes out on the streaming platforms. Of course, I don't think the critics, they rated it much higher, but I disagree. The story was all over the place on this one. I did see a new miniseries on Netflix called Adolescence this past week. And I got to tell you, this show shook me. If you are a young parent and you're raising young teenagers, like 12-year-olds, especially boys, you might want to watch this show. It was a wake-up call for me and very disturbing. But even though it's disturbing and you can't believe what's happening, you're drawn in to see how it all ends. So it's worth a watch, especially for you younger parents out there. Just like I said, fair warning, it's a little intense. The second new series that I've been waiting for all year is the new Disney Plus second season of Andor. If you've listened to my past episodes, you know that I believe this is like the best written Star Wars streaming show to date. And this season, which released its next 3 episodes, did not disappoint again. There's a total of 12 episodes, by the way. And what they're doing is they're releasing 3 episodes over a 4-week period of time. And what's nice is the 3 episodes pertain to one story element and one piece of time in this grand story, which leads up to Rogue One, of course, for you Star Wars nerds out there. I actually watch every episode twice. So I'm watching 6 times over the week, just because there's so many little subtle things and subtle cues and little things that you don't pick up when you're just watching through the first time. So super well written series. And even if you're not like a total Star Wars geek on this stuff, but you like the series, this is a really good show to watch on Disney Plus. Finally, if you're looking for a hilarious new show, you got to watch The Studio on Apple TV. Seth Rogen, he was involved in writing and directing this, and every episode is so much fun. Your Friends and Neighbors with John Hamm is also a new show on Apple Plus. I've watched every episode that's out so far, and I got to tell you, this one's very good as well. So I tell you what, if you want to subscribe to Apple for 1 month, here's the kinds of shows that I recommend. Mythic Quest, of course, it's about gaming studios. It's very funny. Your Friends and Neighbors, like I mentioned. The Studio with Seth Rogen. Severance, of course, you watch that, Kingsley. So there's another one called Slow Horses. There's another one called Before, which is kind of a horror suspense movie. There is Sunny, The Big Door Prize, Silo, and Shrinking. All, I mean, just fantastic.
Don't forget Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso, of
Who?
course.
Ted who? That's
Ted Lasso.
Old, that's old news, man. If you haven't seen Ted Lasso now, I mean, come on, man. That show
but
was
you were
out.
saying it like they never had Apple TV, so they wouldn't have seen that either.
It's funny. Ted Lasso is always in the top 10. I guess just people still love that show. But yeah, of course, Ted Lasso. That's kind of what made Apple TV. It was their premium show back in the day. But there's actually 2 movies that are pretty good too. Wolves, which has Clooney and Pitt in it, about two spies that work together to solve a murder. The Gorge, which has Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy. And lastly, there's a new sci-fi series coming out in May 16th called Murderbot. It stars Alexander Skarsgård. I love this guy. I mean, he really does really great acting in every movie or show I've seen him in. So you don't want to miss this one. So it might be a good time to go and just get 1 month of Apple TV Plus. I don't know what kind of deals they're running right now, but man, I've been turning to Apple TV almost exclusively this time, except for Disney. But speaking of which, Hacks season 3, I think, is out on HBO Max. But the one last thing I found out about today, a making of the John Wick franchise called Wick is Pain is coming out on May 9th. And all they said is it's going to be out on the digital platforms. Where exactly, they're not telling us. But I will find this documentary and let you guys know what I thought of it over the next couple of weeks. But it talks about how John Wick was almost not going to happen. You know, it was really the preview and the trailer I saw on it on YouTube. Look up Wick is Pain trailer on YouTube. It's really good. So that's it for me, entertainment wise, gaming wise this week. So I guess let's get into this week in Destiny.
Yo, what up? Native Raider here, and you're listening to Guardian Downcast. Check it out.
All right, Kingsley, the TWAB's not too incredibly long this week, but there was some important stuff I wanted to go over in here. And like I say, just chime in if you have comments on any of this too. I'm going to try to bounce around here if I can, because there's not a ton of information, but the information that is out is really important. We want to make sure everyone knows about it. Just reading the first intro paragraph here. It's this week in Destiny, the community gathered to finish a puzzle and get a sneak peek of what's to come. We'll talk about that. What's going on here exactly? Drifter. Guess you'll have to find out until Tuesday in our Edge of Fate reveal stream, and I'm going to be there. But before that, how about we find out about topics for the week? So they solved the puzzle. May 6th, they're reminding us that's coming up. There's this heavy metal tournament they're going to have, and you're going to get an emblem if you win. Update 8.2.6 is almost here. There's 3 new weapons that they're adding before Frontiers rolls out. Edge of Fate, sorry, bad habit. And then they're celebrating Hawaiian Heritage Month, Asian Pacific Heritage Month. So first thing is, do you want to talk about the puzzle now, or do you want to split it off into a separate section?
Yeah, because this is kind of,
it's kind of part
or
of
you
it.
can just skip this part. Well, I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
we've been going around trying to find all these chess pieces, and I guess there's a place in the middle of the destination map where you can put these pieces in place. And I guess placing them on a certain pattern on the chessboard, people have solved it. And I guess that unlocked the trailer, right, Kingsley? Is that how it works?
Yeah, I guess I'll talk more about it later.
Okay, we'll get into it then.
Unless we're good. Yeah.
No, we'll
Mhm.
talk about it after this. But of course, the May 6th, which is Tuesday, 9 p.m., that's 12 God's time in the East Coast here. Of course, Destiny's their big reveal event about the Edge of Fate, which is, it's basically, they're talking about the next year of Destiny 2, especially over the summer. They're going to talk about the major changes coming to this, the core and structural systems throughout the game, some new rewards you'll be earning. So they say, let's repeat this one last time. Join us on May 6th, 9 a.m. Pacific, as we reveal not only the next expansion for Destiny 2, but also the beginning of the new year of content. Tune into the stream for 15 minutes with your Bungie account connected to Twitch. Sorry, not YouTube. And you'll receive the Theoxenia emblem. It looks really good. It's really a fancy looking emblem. So it's worth 15 minutes.
Does look good.
I'll definitely be getting into that. So Heavy Metal is a new event coming out next week as well, with the Ride of the Nine, the new activity, right, Kingsley?
Yeah, it comes out a few days later on Friday. Ride of the Nine stuff starts on the Tuesday reset. For whatever
Right.
reason, they decided to start the
That's weird.
Crucible
Yeah.
activity on Friday. But I think it kind of is cool in a way, because it's like it won't just be on weekends, but
Mhm.
it doesn't start until the weekend. I think
That's
I think
weird.
of it as like a big
Yeah.
party event. It kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah, and of course we talked about it last week, how they have these home slots now for these events. Instead of having the event cards now and that you had to pay $10 for, I think they're free now. And they'll have these home slots where where everything you can track in there, and you can get all kinds of gear and emblems and stuff. So, I'm going to play it, man. If it's got an emblem, I'm going to definitely play it. But it'll be fun. We should get a night together and just get a bunch of people together and just go in there
I
and
totally want to.
wreck faces, just have fun. But yeah, that is coming up around the bend as well. So they're having a tournament though. And they have qualifiers, semifinals, and finals, and the winning team will receive a unique reward inspired by the game item. Stay tuned for the next TWID, and they'll talk about that, what they can grab. And of course, there's a cool emblem if you're watching any of this from May 9th, 10 a.m. Pacific, and May 16th, 10 a.m. Pacific, to receive the Mad Dog emblem, and that looks good too. I'll get that. I'm a sucker for emblems, man. They're just great to throw on a new emblem. It's just kind of cool. All right, this is what I wanted to talk about though. They are changing up the sandbox. Think of it as like a second kind of mid-season update, since we don't have seasons technically this year. We have episodes, so they're changing up the some of the abilities, some of the weapons. Just going to run through them briefly here. The prismatic supers, in a nutshell, they had a cooldown penalty if you used them in Crucible. Well, they're reducing that in half, from 10% to 5%. So the scatter grenade's getting a nerf. I haven't seen anybody throw a scatter grenade at me in Crucible, but oh well. The hunter is getting reduced PvP prey finding range, basically cut in half from 45 to 25, reduced PvP hunt time from infinite, which I never knew they had infinite time, to 15 seconds. Warlock, they didn't leave us out. Lightning Surge, the arc aspect, you can kind of feel frustrating to play and both with and against. And it feels like the damage against players can be variable. So they're clamping down on the variability of that. And they've slightly increased the minimum damage dealt and reduced the maximum damage dealt. So it's going to be more consistent how it's applied when you use Lightning Surge. Okay, Hunters. Withering Blade, the stasis and prismatic melee. I think this is the 4th time they've adjusted this poor melee. You know, it's where you throw the little ninja star that freezes people, Withering Blade. And they say it's underperforming again and needed more consistency in PvE. So they've increased the tracking strength to 20%. Okay, whatever. And they're increasing the damage by 10%. So maybe we'll see an uptake in the Hunters throwing those ninja stars at you again. All throwing knife melees, apparently they've been getting feedback from the community that they're not working as well. So they are trying to be more consistent about the tracking and effectiveness of that. So they increase the tracking shape size by 10%, increase the tracking strength by 20%. The fan of knives, and they've increased the tracking shape by 15%. But the Hunters are not out of it yet. On the Prowl, the Void aspect, they reduced the prey finding cooldown from a half a second to a 1/10 of a second. The ability energy is now granted instantly instead of over time. And of course, Warlocks, the Lightning Surge, like I mentioned, they've increased the follow-up melee suppression time after Lightning Surge to match Shoulder Charge and other similar abilities. So there you go. Ability-wise, that's what we're looking at changing basically coming next week. Weapon updates. Okay. Now, you know, this gets in my crawl when they start messing with weapons, but they're bringing down some of the weapons to be a little more consistent. The legacy frames, you know, the BRX, the battle rifle, and the new Redrix S stock if you can get it from the competitive matches. Apparently in the upper scale playing, you know, the higher tier players, it's kind of evened out. But they're saying now that in regular matches that it's still a little too strong. So they're reducing the Battler and S-Stock's ADS damage fall off from 1.5 to 1.6 to match high impact pulses. And they're increasing the BRX Battler's airborne effectiveness from 10 to 21. So not really any news there. They show a bunch of graphs here on where all the weapons place. If you really want to get nerdy about this, you can see where all the weapons fall in the current PvP sandbox. I'm not going to go over that, but here's the good news. Rapid fire pulse rifles are going to be coming back to compete with the changes they made to lightweights. So they're increasing the base damage from 14.5 to 15. I know. Stop the presses. They're a half a point. They're increasing precision damage from 27.6 to 27.8. So about a 1 point increase there. That makes a difference when you're firing a rapid fire frame. So you might actually feel that. Hand cannons, heavy burst, nobody cares. Okay. They've increased the ADS.
Nobody cares about pulse rifles.
No. Actually, heavy burst hand cannons are probably the only ones I really do like, because I like the heavy burst sidearms that have the 2-shot, and I really like the feel of the heavy burst hand cannons that have the 2-shot. So they are increasing the ADS damage fall off scaler from 1.5 to 1.6. That might be big. Adaptive, the Judgment, which is I think the Prophecy hand cannon. They've increased the magazine size from 9 to 11. They've increased the reload from 40 to 45, increased handling from 42 to 55. That you'll feel. And then finally, auto rifles. High impact auto rifles are still kind of weak. And so what they're doing is they're increasing the base damage by 4%, which we'll see. Body shot goes from 23 to 24. Critical hit goes from 41.4 to 43.2. The precision auto rifles, like the good old Amit, this is the second partial reduction of the damage reduction given to several seasons ago. So they're increasing base damage again by 3%, reducing precision damage scalar slightly to offset it. So body shots 19.4 to 20. Critical hits go from 33.95 to 34. Really? 100th? Okay. Was that even worth talking about? Probably not. Adaptive submachine guns, they say, are needing a little more forgiveness. So they're increasing the ADS damage fall off scalar from 1.4 to 1.5. Shotguns, the heavy burst slug, they're increasing damage flat out by 8%. And then weapon perks. One Quiet Moment now has 2 stacks, one that activates after 1 second of being out of combat for 50% of the bonus, and the other at 2 seconds. Okay. Alacrity, which can be incredibly strong, especially if you're playing solo matches. It activates at a reduced effectiveness whenever a teammate dies, reaches maximum effectiveness when 2 or more teammates are currently dead, which happens a lot if you're playing in 6s. So that might be a plus there. Exotic weapons updates. Sorry to say it, guys. The hip firing Lord of Wolves. Yeah, the time's over. They're reducing it in PvE by 30%, the damage. So we might be going back to something else. Maybe the Queensbreaker, I guess. We were using that last night. Risk Runner, they increased the zoom from 13 to 14. Truth and Two-Tailed Fox, you'll get 1 more in the ammo slot when you grab an ammo crate in Crucible. The Elysium, creating a special ammo brick, now only costs 50% energy. Reworded the Vestigial Alchemy trait description to be a little less confusing. I mean, the name alone's confusing. Finalities Augur, they've increased the duration that a target is painted to match the duration of the turret. The environmental target marker now marks additional targets that enter the zone after its creation. Now grants an automatic reload from reserves after deploying a turret. Reduce the turret's self-damage by 85%, increase the turret's damage by 10%. Man, what changes they made to that? I got to get that gun now. After all those changes, it might be actually a pretty decent gun. Armor updates. This is exotic armor, guys. Radiant Stance Machines. In a nutshell, they've reduced the bonuses granted to primary weapons when hip firing, aligned the hip fire bonuses to range and accuracy with the values granted by the hip fire perk instead of the legacy frame intrinsic perk. So they've reduced the accuracy bonus by 60%, reduced aim assist fall off distance bonus by 60%, further reduced the accuracy bonus of the custom tuned exotic weapons, including the last word, by an additional 25%. And it says, as a note, based on the feedback we received from mouse and keyboard players using the last word with RDMs, we are looking into tuning the specific penalties for that input device down a bit in the future. So stay tuned. Let's see. Although dodge uptime is already low on RDMs, Radiant Dance Machines, they reduce the amount of energy refunded for defeats against players when you do not have a full class ability energy from 33% to 20%. Okay, one more thing, guys. We're almost done. Sorry, Titans. Lion Rampants. They have added the accuracy and range hipfire bonuses from Radiant Dance Machines to Lion Rampant for primary ammo weapons only. These hipfire benefits are always active, not just when airborne. So that's actually a plus. The 50+50 airborne effectiveness bonus is now always active, not just when you are hipfiring while airborne. Okay. I thought people just use them to jump better as Titans, but okay. And of course, Warlock, the Luna Faction boots. They've added the accuracy and range hipfire bonuses from Radiant Dance Machines to Luna Faction boots for primary ammo weapons only. These hipfire benefits are always active, not just when in a rift. Okay. Decrease the range bonus granted by the Empowering Rift by 50% in PvP, only to reduce occurrences of extremely long-range kills with short-range weapons like fusions and slug shotguns. Okay. Woo, man, that was a lot. But I want to make sure I got that info out.
Short.
I thought it was shorter when I first read it, but I guess not.
I knew it wasn't. Yeah.
Some of it was probably not even worth mentioning, but hey,
exactly.
It's out there now. So
it's not like people are going to memorize all this. You just got to read it yourself, people, if you really want to know the details.
I'm a nerd when it comes to, when they change up the especially the PvP sandbox. So I get really geeky about all the different changes they do to it. Iron Banner's got a new weapon coming out. I kind of knew about this already. A solar lightweight scout rifle. The Trials of Osiris has the Inquisitor, which is an arc precision slug shotgun, and the Nightfall. I'm interested in this. Called Cruel Mercy. It's an arc heavy burst pulse rifle from the Amalon Foundry. So they give you some perks that is going to be coming with there, and there's some good ones. So check that out. That's coming also in, I guess, the new content, right? Coming around the corner, Kingsley, May 6th. I guess that's what they're talking about here.
Yeah, some won't be available like
Right. Well, Iron Banner, obviously
right
not
away,
until
but
the next Iron Banner comes out. Now, it's not this Iron Banner, guys. Next Iron Banner. And I told everyone last week, if you've got everything you want in Iron Banner and you got a bunch of Ingrams sitting with Lord Saladin right now, they will not go away. I got 20 of them just sitting there. So just hang on to them until the new Iron Banner rolls out and then start focusing to get the new Scout Rifle. So that'll be good. Celebrate Happy Asian American Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Heritage Month. The Asians at Bungie Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Association celebrating the occasion with a Harmonic Waves emblem. We're excited to support the International Community Health Services, a nonprofit healthcare organization based in Seattle, Washington, and the leading voice in challenging anti-Asian hate. Very pretty emblem. Very nice. I think that's the same one from last year, I believe. Maybe a little different. Anyway, player support report. Kingsley, anything we need to know about here? Anything that stuck out to you?
I don't think there's anything new that's interesting to me. So definitely stuff needs to be fixed.
All right, shit's broken. Moving on.
Yep.
We've got some obviously great art and a great movie called the Manda Guardian. Definitely check that out. That's pretty cool. That's gonna be pretty neat. Hey Dorath, how you doing? We hope the teaser unlocked with that outstanding move got you even more excited for the Edge of Fate reveal happening on May 6th. That's less than 5 days away as of today. Making puzzles of this magnitude is a unique challenge with many moving pieces, pun intended, and a lot of planification. Saying that we love to watch you work together to solve it is an understatement. No matter what we put in front of you, the community always finds a way to blow our minds. I agree. Thank you for all the passion and effort you put into our games. It's a privilege. Thank you, Destiny 2 community team, for communicating with us this week. We always appreciate that. And let's move on to, let's talk about the new community event, Kingsley. We'll do that right after this break. I got to catch my breath.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Hey, this is Admiral Nips from Potato Thumbs Podcast. You are listening to Guardian Downcast with two of the most beautiful people in the whole wide world. Like what you like and don't apologize.
Thank you, Admiral Nips. Always good to hear from him. All right. I want to record the music. All right, Mr. Kingsley Mac, let us know what is going on with this chess game that's going on in Destiny now. Apparently it was solved today, I guess. And someone I think in the Discord shared the screenshot of it. But what is up with this chess game, man? What's going on here?
Yeah. I don't know if I'd call it so much of a community event, in my opinion. Yes, it was kind of a community event, but like I do want to loop around to the end on what we think about this in general. But
Okay.
They're just bringing, from a high level, they're bringing more and more stuff that's all going with the theme of what I already knew based on some leaks what the new expansion is going to be about. And then Bungie has also confirmed it's about 9-based stuff. And Drifter's going to be involved. It's obvious at this point. And they did this thing to kind of bridge the gap of, normally you would think this would be a little bit later in the season or something at the very end. But since we're getting the reveal on this Tuesday, or, depending on when you listen to the podcast,
Tomorrow,
May 6th,
if you're getting the audio versions tomorrow.
And we'll know more about the upcoming year with also the name of the year got leaked because of the Bungie premiere box set for $275 was announced.
Louise.
It's called the Year of Prophecy, is basically the whole year. So it's going to be 9-based for both parts of the expansion, it sounds like. But Edge of Fate is the only name we know for the first one so far.
Right.
Anyways, they decided to use this chess game and chess pieces as a way to have something to do. And it seems obvious. We're playing chess against the 9. The 9's going to be involved with stuff going forward. It's not even a spoiler at this point. and it's all kind of obvious to me. But what you could start doing, starting about a week and a half ago now, as of what we're talking right now, was there was these chess pieces that started showing up. I mean, they all showed up at the same time, and you can collect them. There are several in Eris's Flat, and those are the minimum you might want to get just because they're there and easy to get, and you can use those to kind of bypass some things. But really, there are 60 pieces total. So if you want to be a completionist, you want the Triumph. It may even be for the title. I'm trying to remember, but you know, it kind of at first was a situation, especially if you were helping solve the puzzle, where you needed to get all those chess pieces, and plus the people that are involved and like to do that stuff could collect them. And they are like all over. I mean, a majority is in the new Nether type activities and the Court of Blades and stuff like that, but there are some in other destinations. You know, of course, there's some in Eris's Flat, the hallway and stuff. But 60 seemed quite a bit to me. So it kind of soured me wanting to look for them. Especially since like I've done all the activities a million times. I'm like, 60, man, maybe if there was like 10 to 20, I would do it. But I was like, I'll let other people do it first, and then I'll find out if you need the 60 to do something really exciting. Like if it was going to open some mission, then I'm like, okay, I'll get the 60. But like, I'm going to wait just to kind of see, because I don't really feel like tracking down 60 pieces on my own right now. And there's guides, of course, that will tell you where they all are. Mm-hmm. Then once people got the pieces, and I forget the timing, people can correct in the chat or whatever, but it seemed like it was this last reset. It might have been earlier, but there is an area underneath Eris's throne world. You know, you go through the portal in her flat. And in the throne world, if you go to like, I think it's the northwest corner, is what people are saying. But basically, if you go underneath that main platform that you're on, there's an underneath area now where you can see like a chessboard and stuff. And you say like, interact with the piece. And then it brings you to another location where there's this huge chessboard. And you're kind of like the size of, you think of something like in the Harry Potter movie, you know, like when they're playing the live chess, right. Or I've seen this other things like
life size.
Jumanji have something like that too.
Yeah,
I feel like
I think so. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. Yeah, life size pieces. And people found out very quickly right away, like, oh, this seems to be leading to some puzzle, because there was one preset thing that was easy to figure out at first. And then what it would do is it would give you a code and a layout, and then you could use that to start, you know, people did all the analytics to start combining things together to figure out this is obviously some community puzzle that we're going to figure out. Now, as with all community puzzles, more people get involved that can help out. And of course, different stream groups were working on it. And it's really interesting how this works, because, you know, you got like Reddit Raid Secrets. They're kind of like the master group that has so many smart people that figures things out at first, but the streamers are right behind that. Usually what they want to do is they want to get people in their private group, because if they're the ones that can solve it first, right, they'll get notoriety.
Yep. They'll get the views.
And yeah, they'll get the views. And so it's like, yeah, they'll have like some private website or place where people can submit their things to help that group to help kind of solve things.
Yeah.
And who was the person that solved it earlier today?
It was
written somewhere.
it was a zombie, a Call of Duty zombie player.
Was it like Raffles or something?
Yeah,
or,
Mr. Waffles, I think it is. Yeah. Oh, he was a big Battlefield guy. He's a big Battlefield streamer too. Yeah,
but he's also a Destiny streamer.
He's really, I don't know, man. Maybe it's just, you know, there is not anything going on in Battlefield right now, at least not yet. So maybe he's jumping over to Destiny and starting to do Destiny marathon stuff. I know he did play the alpha too, so he had some opinions about it. But yeah, I think he was the one who solved it. Yeah,
yeah.
I think he's from UK. Yeah.
Yeah, so when these things come out, and then I know like a lot of people get really excited. I'm not a type of person to care about puzzles as much in games. Whenever I'm playing any type of a game, Assassin's Creed or whatever, or the puzzles are the least interesting thing to me. I like the actual activity, like missions and stories and doing things like that. But I think this is awesome that they put something in to help out a little bit. I think other puzzles in the past have been better, like the Corridors of Time and other ones got way more traction than this one did. Yeah. But this one still got traction and people felt involved. And there are reasons also to do it more than just collecting some pieces if you want for that Triumph stuff, but there are a fair amount of rewards you can get. Now, there's different ways you can get these rewards to shortcut, so you don't have to collect all 60 pieces.
Right.
You can just kind of collect the minimum just pieces that are in Erisys flat.
Yeah, I think Towser Trade just said that in chat. He just got his rewards.
And people have kind of known this for a little bit. Or you can join on someone else's instance also, where you can kind of, if they have the pieces and work off of it from that. But the final puzzle was solved where if you input that, you can get a bunch of rewards. There is Ascendant, the golf balls.
Mm-hmm.
You can get. They have shader. They have a ship. They have all sorts of stuff that's going to drop. Good weapons with the double perks. The shiny adepts.
But I heard there was a nice emblem. That's all I cared about. Was there a really cool emblem?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Now, is that emblem is that the same emblem that they gave the code for today too?
I don't know.
Yeah, and along with that too, and I'm glad Bungie's doing this because I think if you want all that loot, okay, it's not the same emblem, but if you want all that loot, see, I don't really need it, but like if you think this is fun at all, you should definitely check it out. Yeah. And it drops quite a bit of things between an emblem, a shader, a ship.
Probably gonna go get
some guns and stuff. But if you don't care as much, and it also dropped a cutscene. But the nice thing is like this was really, I think, brilliant of Bungie. They put that cutscene in the TWID also, and we kind of glazed out past that when we were going over the TWID, because I think that's appropriate. I mean, it's good for the people that saw it first. You're like, yeah, we're the first people that saw that cutscene.
Get rewarded.
But people are going to put it on YouTube anyways. Yeah. And so I think it's smart for Bungie, like people that maybe don't care about this little chess community thing. You can watch that cutscene, and you should. People watch it. It's a pretty cool cutscene.
Yeah, it was on. It's in the TWID. It's in the TWID this week.
Yeah, in the TWID. And again, it has to do with the Drifter and kind of stuff that I know I won't say on this show, but I gave on the DPS podcast all the spoilers of what's going to be coming out for Edge of Fate. Well, not all the spoilers, but like how it's involved with the 9 and portals and stuff. But I'm not going to go into more details here.
Yeah,
but,
I want to be in the dark on it.
Yeah. But anyways, kind of cool. Now, what do you think in general? Do you think this community event was worth them putting the development time in, as exciting as some ones in the past? I mean, I would have preferred like quarters of time. Didn't they actually have a mission that opened up when it was done? And that would have gotten me more interested. But what do you think about all this?
Well, like you said, I'm surprised they did it now versus ramping up right into the content. Usually you put this stuff like in the end. Going where it rolls right into the new content.
Yeah. But I think they were kind of doing it in a way where it's going to roll into and make sense with when we see the trailers and the content drop for Edge of Fate.
Okay.
And all the stuff that's going on with the 9. That's going to make sense.
Makes sense.
But they didn't have to do it that way either. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Also, it's like hopefully there will be something else at the end of the season that's kind of exciting, but I don't know if there will be.
Curious what do you think of the cutscene, man? It was very cryptic. What do you think about that cutscene?
Well, it's not as cryptic to me from the spoilers that I know, but yeah,
I don't want to be spoiled. I don't want to spoil anybody who might not want to be spoiled. So,
well, we're gonna know Tuesday, because obviously they're not going to tell us everything about the story,
right?
But you're gonna know so much more on Tuesday. I guarantee.
Okay.
Just overall what's going on.
I just like being surprised. That's all. I like that Christmas, first day of Christmas, that first morning when you wake up. I want that Bungie Christmas feeling.
Then don't watch the trailer on Tuesday and wait till it actually comes out in July.
No, I'm going to watch that reveal, man. There's
See,
no way.
So that's my point. You can be surprised no matter when you watch it. So it's up to you when you want to watch it.
I mean, as long as they're not telling you everything. If they say, hey, there might be something behind the curtain, behind the Christmas tree, that's a tease, but don't tell me what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, if you give me like, oh, I wonder what it's going to be. I wonder what's going to be. That's a tease, and that's what I'll tune in for. But they're not going to tell us what it is. I mean, they can't do that. Then all the excitement's
gone.
But
what I mean is like the stuff that they will tell us, which they are going to tell us a lot on Tuesday. And it goes to my point too of like, they should have been telling us this like a month or so ago. Like this is very late to be starting the pre-orders, and we're only a month and a half away May, June, 2.5 months away from the supposed drop. We've never been that close before pre-orders started. We've never been that close before we got a trailer for the new expansion. And again, I don't know if it was just because they didn't want to take away from marathon stuff. If that was the case, I'm mad about that.
Too.
But I wish they would have given us this like a month or two ago. But whatever, we're here,
Yeah.
we're close now, so it's not that big of a deal.
It seems like there's nothing that's the same as what they used to do. You know,
I know it's always changing.
it's they was keeping us on our toes, that's for sure. But yeah, it's, you know, it makes sense that Drifter's involved because back during his season, he was in cahoots with one of the 9. That there was a lot of lore surrounding it. And I actually read that lore. I just can't remember what it was about. I think he almost like had an affection for this woman, whatever she is in the 9, but I guess they were just good friends. But anyway, I know Eris is his bae, so I'll leave it at that. But no, it's exciting. I was going to go collect everything, all the pieces, because if it means more rewards, it might be worth it to me, especially if there's a different emblem, because I just love emblems.
You don't have to collect them all to get all the rewards. I think you need to get.
I've got several already.
Or have 27.
Yeah.
But there's so much different information coming out. You can even do some stuff with just the minimum chest pieces in the Eris's flat. So it seems to be changing, although today what it is should be the final state of it, because I don't think it's going to change more going forward. But if you really care, join up with someone who's already done it, and then they can help kind of or watch the videos, you know, all the Astrocross, Esoteric have all the guides and how to get the stuff and what to do. And but I just wanted to give kind of a big level picture of
absolutely, man. That's why I turned to you on it, because I have no clue what's going on with this. I mean, here's the thing with puzzles, community puzzles. I'm working all day. Community puzzles are for streamers who are streaming during the day and they're working with their audience, you know, to put 2 and 2 together. Mr. Raffle Waffles, I mean, I'm sure he streams all day and he probably had all day to do. I'm at work, and then I'm going to the gym, and then I got physical therapy. I mean, I got things going on. I don't have time to sit here and figure out puzzles. So I rely on the streamers to do it for me. And I probably would have a great time getting involved with it and doing it, but I'm not around. I'm not around to do it. But Dorath in the YouTube chat also mentioned you can get adept weapons from entering the 27 chess moves. So I'm going to probably
I mentioned the weapons.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. So, okay. Anything else we need to know about this? I didn't know really much about it. And I think you and others I've been gaming with this week went and showed me where to get most of them. I think I still need to go on my main account. I still need to go to the apartment to get those couple pieces that are there. So yeah.
Might as well get some. I mean, I might still do this. It just really depends. Like I'm not going to do stuff in a game that'll be annoying to me, because I don't want to get annoyed by a game.
Yeah.
Because that is the true definition of burnout, in my opinion. People that do things that they shouldn't be doing and then they get annoyed. Yeah. Burnout isn't going through the content too quickly. No, that's not burnout. But burnout is doing stuff you shouldn't be doing because it's annoying to you. And if I get really bored with other games, maybe the next week or 10 before this, the season's done, I might collect them all, but I might not either. And I'm perfectly fine with that. And I've still had a really fun time this overall episode. It's the best one of the year, of course. I'll probably agree with that.
It's been a fun episode. That's for sure. Of the 3, definitely the one I've enjoyed the most. And you knew they were going to do it that way. That's one thing you can always count on, is Bungie always saves the best for last when it comes to their content. So yeah. Okay, good deal. Well, what do you think? Let's get to our topic of the week. Let's get into that. It's gonna get spicy. I got some hot takes, and I know you're not gonna agree with them. So, well, I'll mention it when we do that. Right after this.
Howdy folks, this is MC Squared and you're listening to Guardian Downcast.
Well, so I've been watching marathon reaction videos ever since the alpha was released last week, and I've watched hours of Dr. Lupo and others in their live streams as well. I mean, I talked with a mod in our Discord, Hammercrasher32, who also got an alpha code, and he gave me some raw feedback as well. The most impactful feedback, though, was from a longtime streamer who's considered, I think he's considered one of the OG Battle Royale and extraction shooter guys out there, and that's Shroud. He had some thoughts on the Marathon Alpha gameplay. He did get a code and he did play it, and it kind of crystallized what Marathon is all about. And before you chime in and say it's only an alpha, I get it, but he mentioned how many developers out there, you know, try to replicate the Escape from Tarkov shooter. You know, they try to round out all the rough edges and the friction that's present in the Tarkov game. And what struck me was when he explained why Tarkov is so popular and has the staying power it does. That is because the game is so hardcore. There's no tutorial. There's nothing explained. You just have to jump in and learn from trial and error. And he mentioned that small items like the pack of cigarettes, I have no clue what they're used for, but they have a special use in the game, but only until you stumble into what that is, there's no help. In his opinion, this is the hook that he thinks keeps players coming back to the Tarkov game. The extreme difficulty, the hardcore principles of the game, and just learning how to get better playing it. What he said next, though, about Marathon kind of made sense to me. He says that Bungie has made an extraction shooter aimed at the more general audience, and also the fact that it's available on console, whereas Tarkov is not. It's much simpler form of extraction shooter. There aren't 100 different types of ammo. There's no confusion where the weapon attachments are used. It's really eliminated all the friction, so to speak, of learning a very cumbersome game. So my question tonight is, if Bungie has indeed made a more casual extraction shooter game, what's the hook that's going to keep players coming back? This is what just keeps hounding me when I was trying to think about how I would play this game. When I watched the Marathon Alpha live streams, I didn't really get that long-term objective. I mean, why are they playing? What are they trying to achieve? What's the end game? In other words, what keeps us coming back to play it again and again? Now, I really want Marathon to be my side PvP game. I'm really worried that if it fails and Sony is not happy, will this affect the future Bungie games out there? And how will it affect Destiny 2's future? I know people have been arguing about this, but this is really a concern I've had. I know that Destiny 2 is the only game that brings income into Bungie at the moment. And my fear is that Sony will cut bait and tear the studio apart and spread all that human talent across its other studios. That was my first thought when I found out that Sony took over the management of Bungie. Remember that mess before the year? And even if Sony keeps Destiny 2 going, how much of the studio will be used to produce future content for the game? I don't know. This has kind of been bugging me with all the Marathon talk lately. And I know people are probably tired of us talking about Marathon, but this is the big thing right now with Bungie. So, and I'm going to mention something here, Kingsley, and just, I know you're going to want to chime in, but please let me get through it, because it's an idea I got at bowling on Monday night. I was talking to a buddy of mine. He's a younger kid. He's actually one of my buddy's sons that plays on our team. And I just was talking with him, and I said, listen, have you seen any gameplay from the Marathon extraction shooter they got to come out? You know, the alpha, have you seen any coverage or gameplay on it? And he actually played Tarkov, and he's played other hardcore shooters out there for years. And I was really curious, what his take was on it, what he actually thought about it, because he comes from a different part of gaming that I do. What he told me, though, was that he just played Tarkov with his friends against bots. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, hold on, I'm confused here. How are you able to just play against bots and not run into any other teams, since it's a PvP game, right? Apparently, if you own the deluxe version of Tarkov, it's $200, by the way, I looked. If you own the deluxe version of Tarkov, you have the option to play all the content and avoid the other players. So that gave me an idea. And I know you know where I'm going with this, but just hear me out. What if Marathon is going to lean into a casual extraction shooter game? What if Marathon had a PvE only mode where you could play against bots only and still collect and upgrade your loot, increase your stamina and your carrying capacity, either solo or with friends? The bots, of course, wouldn't be a pushover, and they would pursue you like they are now in the alpha. They're very aggressive and they're very hard to kill. And I actually asked my teammate who plays Tarkov PvE only if the bots ever wiped his entire team. And he said, yeah, it happens all the time. So what if Bungie could create a bot only environment where players could pursue those contracts and upgrade their loot, but more importantly, learn to play the game and be competitive against really tough AI bots? Now here's the twist, and I think this is the hook that could really keep players playing Marathon. What if Bungie made a separate ranked playlist like Halo did back in the day? Man, I remember grinding games out in Halo, the brief amount of time that I did play it. And I can't remember what rank I was. I was way down there because it was new to me. But it was challenging to play games and hope that I could move up into the next rank above. And man, Halo, if you remember, had tons of ranks, man. They had tons of ranks. There's a whole page of different ranked playlists in that game. And if you think about it, it's exactly the same relationship that PvP has in Destiny 2. If you think about it, we play PvE parts of the game to get powerful weapons and armor, and then use it to jump into the Crucible and see how it compares. If it's one of the reasons I keep playing so many, that's one of the reasons I keep so many weapons in my vault. It's that magic sauce that Bungie has perfected over nearly a decade of playing this game. And of course, I realize there's PvE only players out there who don't agree with me here, but there's a lot of PvP players in Destiny that do this exact thing. And I really think if things are going south for the release of Marathon come September, this change could turn the game around. And this big change has been done before. I remember when Fortnite was an average, boring, PvE only zombie game where you built walls to keep them out. But when they pivoted to the Battle Royale, it totally changed the studio's future. Now, I'm not saying this will work in Bungie's case, and hell, maybe the way it is now will be a hit, and I'm just missing something here. But the main thing that I've been hearing out there is that all the time collecting and improving your gear, you could lose it in one fell swoop. That could be really disheartening, especially for us hoarders in Destiny 2.
That's what we should already know. That's what an extraction game is.
And I know it's a different game. I get it. I know it's a different game. But as a vault,
don't be upset going into it like that because they told us that's how.
I understand,
it is. Yeah.
and they're gonna wipe the seasons. I get it. So even if you get the new hotness, it's gonna be gone once the next season pops around. I know that. But I just know that would bug me, and I know I've heard that from a lot of people who played this game, that it would really bug them. And if it happens so many times, how many times would they come back to play? But what if you could
people
use?
Should never buy that game in the first place. Then
I understand.
Again,
I understand that, but I'm just saying.
You need to know going into it. You need to know.
I get
if
it.
anyone gets upset by that and they bought the game,
I know.
then I blame them 1,000%. They didn't do the research,
But as we're talking about Borderlands 4 coming up, it brought up an idea that Borderlands 2 had in it. What if you could have a locker in the PvE version where you could collect those weapons and builds and then roll the dice and let's go into the ranked playlist with my best loadout or this loadout I want to try, just like Crucible and Destiny, and have it stored in a small locker. Of course, it's not going to be like our vaults. It would be a small limited locker. And I think Borderlands 2 had them in like several areas of the map where you could store stuff. It was a pain because I never remembered where I put everything. I'd lose half my vault, half my stuff I stored. But Borderlands, if you say you got a really kick-ass weapon from a boss you killed, but it was higher level than where you were right now, I would just put it into a locker. And when I finally got to that level, I'm sure you did this too. When you finally got that level, you're like, oh, I can go get that level 27 weapon now, So you could hold it if you get a really good drop. But this competition and striving to increase your rank, I think would be the hook that Marathon seems to be missing right now. Paul Tassi had an article about the alpha player counts were dwindling. Even though they're handing out more codes, people are playing the game and the numbers are still dwindling after over a week of playing the alpha. I don't know about you, but that's not a good sign. I remember when I played the beta, I played it every day until they kicked the servers off and I was kicked from the game. That's the hook that we need to have in Marathon. And I realize it's an alpha, you know, you can't go by that. Let's see how it does in a beta. I've heard that people tell me that. Well, let's just wait to see what the open beta has. Let's see what the numbers do then, because alpha, you know, face it, it's a select few people that are in our community and other communities, but mainly it's streamers and content creators that have been playing this game. I mean, that's smart for Bungie, because if I watch a creator play this and they're having a good time, I'm going to get excited and want to play it. I really want Marathon to get a win here, because it will only hurt Bungie if it's a flop, and possibly hurt the studios that develop Destiny 2. Sony could cut its losses and just break up the studio for the talent to be used in other studios. Like I said, I feared this when they took over the management of Bungie. But if you remember Concord, what happened at Concord? I think Firewalk Studios got shut down briefly after the game was canceled. And I think all the employees either got fired or they got spread out to other projects in the Sony studios. And there's a lot of them out there. I really don't want this to happen to Bungie. And I know I'm the Destiny shill here. I'm the Bungie shill, but it would all but erase any hope of a Destiny game down the road if the studios should fall apart and not come back together to make future content. I don't know. That's what's been on my mind this week, Kingsley. Thank you for letting me get it out, but I'm really eager to hear your opinion on this. What do you think, man?
Boy, you throw so much shit at the wall. That was
I
like
do.
5 separate points, not just 1 point.
Thank you for biting
I
your
always
tongue.
have to take notes.
Thank you
I
for
always have to
biting your
take
tongue.
notes because you're like, I have a topic of the week. No, that was literally 5 topics of the week, and I took notes on all of them.
This is
just so I wouldn't forget anything.
This is the beauty of the show, because I'll get these thoughts in my head, and while I'm working during the day in the hot sun and just have my earbuds on listening to podcasts or something, I'll just keep thinking about this and start trying to put things together and how I think they could turn things around. Because I don't know about you, but it's very mixed, if not looking a little bad for Marathon. And like I said, I don't like to poo-poo Marathon before it even becomes a game, but I'm sure they're getting some feedback that they need to listen to. And I'm just saying, this would emulate a game like the Crucible and Destiny, and it would make me want to play. It would give me a reason to play the game over and over again, is to gather up stuff. And I know it's not the same game, but it would give you some feel like that, where you can then put your gear together, put your best gear on. You've played all the characters, you know how all they work, you know how everything works, you know the maps because you played them over and over again, and then roll the dice and go out there and play the ranked playlist. And then you can have all kinds of emblems and special gear for hitting a certain certain rank in the playlist. I don't know. This just stuff that goes on in my head.
Okay.
I'll shut up now. Go ahead.
On the extraction shooter thing, the biggest overall point, and don't worry, I'll get to all of your 5 different topics, but the biggest thing is they just should not have made an extraction shooter in the first place. It's the simplest answer. A lot of times people will look for conspiracy theories or this or that or this or that, but it was kind of stupid, especially this late in the game, to make an extraction shooter. We also just heard news yesterday or the day before.
Yes.
Titanfall 3 had a new extraction shooter coming out that just got canceled, and they fired 300 employees.
Wow, I did not hear that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So just to keep things really simple on the highest level, forget this or that or this or that. I still think they should have never made this game.
And keep in mind too, Kingsley, they were starting this game in 2018 before this podcast was even a thing, during Destiny 2 when it first came out.
But at some point, like what Titanfall just did, you gotta like,
bait.
you know. So
I hear you, man.
But also, now should I go to this point next? Maybe I will. Just because this project got canceled doesn't mean there's not going to be other Titanfall PvE things. And like I said in a previous episode, if Marathon does good or bad, it does not have to affect Destiny. I know everyone will want to use that as an excuse, but the funny thing is it could go either way. And people will use that as an excuse. What if Marathon does really good and Destiny's still not doing good?
It could happen.
They could still cancel Destiny, even with Marathon doing good.
It's true.
So in my opinion, it's not going to have as much of an effect as people think it will. Destiny will only get canceled if Marathon doesn't do good and Destiny doesn't do good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if Marathon doesn't do good, it's not like they have to shut down the whole studio. They can just fire more employees, all on the Marathon side. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Destiny is status quo with the employees that they have.
Right.
They probably wouldn't even fire all of them. They would probably actually, it might even help Destiny some. A
Maybe.
few would come over, I'm sure.
Maybe.
You know?
Yeah.
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 Anyways, that is just impossible to know unless they tell us why. It's always just going to be speculation, because if you see my point, people, no matter if Marathon does good or bad, people can use that as an excuse if Destiny doesn't do good or bad.
And the devs
Anyways.
did speak up and did say that they might have a training mode. Cause Call of Duty has a training mode. I think Apex has a training mode, and I think even Battlefield even had a training mode where you played against bots. That's all I'm asking here, Tajo. I'm not talking about changing the game. The base rank server would be the PvP game. I'm just talking about a game type where you didn't have to go and try to get contracts to get better loot or upgrade certain things like your backpack size and stuff, and only to get flattened by someone who's played the game all weekend. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I was going to get to that point too.
Okay, go ahead.
I was trying to stay organized here.
Sorry, I'm bouncing all over.
Yeah. So first, I'm very, very strong on my opinion still that at least within the last today to 3 years ago, they shouldn't have continued to be making this extraction shooter game. That doesn't mean that I am predicting it will do bad still. I don't know. I will solidify my opinion by the time the beta comes out and we have more information.
Sure.
Right now, it's still about 50-50 for me.
Okay.
They told us some rumors, actually. There may be some PvE things added. There is going to be some end game stuff.
Yeah, they did mention
there's going to be more contract things going on, more end game stuff, and I could totally see adding some more PvE stuff also. So so you really can use the excuse right now. It's just alpha, because it's very, very, even they didn't even give us all the PvP stuff. There's lots of maps missing. There's not all the runners. Things
they
like
did
that.
mention it. They did mention that there was a really cool map coming out that was going to blow us away, but it won't be coming out until later after the game launches. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's on the PvP side. But even aside from that, there's, like you said, there's going to be a training thing. There is going to be that testing shooting range thing coming out afterwards.
They said they were considering it, Ziegler said, but I don't.
Well, yeah,
I'm sure that means yes, they're gonna.
Yeah, because they're not usually. You're not going to say something like that.
Right.
You know,
it just makes sense. But I mean, since Bungie is leaning toward a more general, not as hardcore extraction shooter, it just made sense for me to have that element of the game where people could practice and get better. That's all.
Yeah. Now, the thing that seems a little contradictory, and I'm leaning more on the side of they should try to get more mass appeal. But the thing, kind of what Taja was saying and what you were saying about two different points, I'll tell you more in a second why, but I felt like Shroud I watched that Shroud video. He was a little contradictory on some things he said, and I'll tell you in a second. But it is an interesting point especially when you have a game that's this niche to start with, right? Extraction shooters are already a niche market.
Very true.
And so is it better to keep it super niche and hardcore and have like weapons that you don't know their value, so you have to learn everything? Or is it better to try to appeal more to the mass market? Well, I think the answer to that is more who's going to keep playing in the long run, right?
Yep.
Either way, we're probably gonna have a small amount of people, because an extraction shooter, no matter how wide they try to make it, not everyone's gonna love it. But if they keep it really just for the hardcore players, then what you're gonna see is less of a drop off from the original purchases, because it was mostly just the hardcore players that purchased it,
right? And
then they're gonna be the ones that stay. If they make it more wide appealing or whatever, then maybe well, I'm saying it weird, but basically, it really just it's hard to know. You can run theories and analytics on what's better, but just my general thought is it's probably better to make it more appealing. Here's where Shroud contradicted himself, because he said like, what keeps like those people keep playing the game is having to learn the weapons and not seeing the values when they first drop and stuff. But he said, like a couple sentences after that, though, he said, but most people would prefer to have the values and have it be more open-ended. Well, if he's even admitting most people would like that, then isn't it probably smart to go with what most people would like? You know,
We're trying to sell
I mean,
games
that's
here.
the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to sell games. So I think it's good to at least try to go for the mass market. They'll get more initial sales. I know this sounds crappy. Maybe it'll still just be the hardcore players that stick on the tail end, but at least they'll get people considering it more if they go more mass appeal. So I think they should go mass appeal. I think like Stroud's thing was kind of like whatever. It's like it's such a unique argument. It's probably better, in my opinion, to go more mass appeal. And if we're going to be adding more PvE things in, that's again going towards more mass appeal. And you even wanted that, so
Yep.
I think you probably agree going towards more mass appeal is the better way, also, right?
I
would
just
you
know
rather-
I just know our community. I think maybe 10% of the whole Guardian Downcast community wants to even mess with this game. I've seen some
Okay,
people like
that-
just can't
yes.
wait, and there's some people are like pass because they're PvE
that's-
players.
But that's where we have to back up again. That should not be a surprise.
Yeah.
Bungie had specific wording that said,
I know. I'm not piling on.
official
but
wording.
yeah.
They said if you are a PvE player in Destiny, this game may not
I'm
be
not
for
for you.
you.
I
They
remember that.
actually said that this game may
That's-
not be for you.
Terrible.
And even if you're a Destiny PvP player, the wording that they said was, "We hope you'll like it." They didn't say, "We know you'll like it." They said, "We hope you'll like it." So Bungie has said from day one, we have to remember this. People in our community, Marathon may not be for us.
Mark
And it probably isn't for majority of
mark
us,
my
you know?
words, Kingsley. Mark my words. I know they're trying to go after a different audience, but let's get real here. I think 75% of their player base are going to be Destiny players because we know that Destiny feel. We know that gun feel. We love it. We're addicted to that gun feel. And if we can get that in a new looking game with all these vibrant colors, then we're probably going to at least try it. And that means we're going to at least maybe drop $40 on it. Whereas these other players, they've been playing these extraction shooters for years. They got whole communities built up around these games. And I don't know if I remember when Doc played Destiny and people were roasting him in chat because he was playing Destiny. This is what I worry about with these other big extraction shooters, players and content creators out there. I don't think they're going to show up, man. I don't think they're going to show up.
But the Destiny players shouldn't show up either if it's not a game for you.
Well, then we're done. It's sunk.
Okay.
If that's the case,
Well,
then there's no hope for this game.
No, I disagree that no one else is not going to buy it though.
Oh, somebody, 25%
yeah.
maybe of the audience. But
Yeah.
think about it. Destiny content creators all got codes to play this game. That can't be a coincidence. These are all PvP players typically. I've even seen some.
It's how they're seeding things, yeah. Because who else are they going to reach out to that would?
That goes to my point, though. Why? I'm sorry.
that
I
goes
know
to
I'm
the bigger
repeating
point.
myself, but why
The
make
bigger
a
point,
game
they
that?
shouldn't have made this game.
Yeah. Why
all.
make a game that doesn't appeal to your player base, your fans?
Oh, no. Well, you have to get past that because remember, in the
I
past,
know.
Bungie had other games that were different from their other games.
Yeah.
Like if you look at their games in the 90s and the early 2000s,
Okay.
there was a lot of games that were flops. There was a lot of games that were really good.
Right.
And then they make a totally different game that was totally different from their other games. So
Yeah.
you're thinking too much like the next game. You just want it to be that way. But if you get off of your bias,
Yeah.
developers should be making totally different games all the time to get more market.
Well, where I
Um,
came from on this, and keep your points, keep your notes. Where I came from this whole idea was, if this happened, I would probably invest time in the game like I do in Destiny. What would make me want to spend time and invest time in Marathon? And it would have to be where I can build up my gear and get better and practice and learn all the characters before jumping into the fire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, and again, we shouldn't care. We should be happy
I know.
for other people that want
I
to
know.
play this game, but most of the Destiny players, when Bungie even said it's probably not for the PvE players, and they hope the PvP players will like it.
That's me. I'm
we
the
should
PvP
not- we
guy.
should not- yeah, but they hope, and you have to know that it's a different game. So don't go into it and complain after the
Yeah.
fact when we've told you a million
I know.
times it's an extraction shooter,
I get
and then
it.
you don't like it. You know, we're like, we told you it's an extraction shooter. We
Yeah.
knew that already.
Then I would go, I told you, you should have stuck to your guns and made a Crucible game but Sony canceled it. They had a PvP only game that was Destiny based or around Destiny. That I think Noseworthy and was it Noseworthy and Luke Smith were making? I don't know.
Well, they also had supposedly another maybe Destiny game too, and that's what pisses me off.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
and
man.
also, it's coming around again. I know my point. More people will be getting on board within the next year, so they should have been making a Destiny 3.
I'm with you, man.
More and more people are starting to agree with me.
I don't argue that fact.
And, yeah. Well, you used to say that Destiny 2 can be a Destiny 3, but no, there's reasons why you have to have a Destiny 3 to make things better, especially because the engine and everything. But
Anything else? Anything else in your notes?
Oh, yeah,
Sorry. Okay.
I still have more.
Continue.
Yeah,
Continue. I want to hear it.
So many points to the wall.
Sorry, man.
Let me look at
you should know. You're going to find that out. That's what I do. Is I throw a lot of shit up against the wall. Just things I've been thinking about during the day. You know.
Yeah, and you want them to all relate, but I think they're kind of they don't all relate with each other, but because they're separate. Some of them are separate points. Like, will it affect Destiny? Maybe. Does it have to? No, it doesn't have to. Like, it can do good or bad, and it doesn't have to affect Destiny, but it could. Now, okay, let me look through this.
And keep in mind, Firewalk Studios only made one game, so keep that in mind as well. Even though Firewalk was disbanded,
part of the franchise, are they not owned by anyone though?
No, I think Firewalk was a independent studio. I think made for making Concord. I think it was one of their homegrown studios.
No, I thought you meant. I thought you were talking about the Titanfall thing.
No, I was talking about Firewalk, who made Concord, but I think there was a one franchise studio. So keep that in mind too. They didn't have a popular Destiny game going at the same time. So I see your point there. Okay.
Yeah. So the dwindling numbers on Alpha, that does not mean anything to me right now. Now, if it happens again on the betas, the open betas, then I will also potentially predict that the game won't sell well. I think either way, I'm predicting the game will sell well, but it'll have a pretty big drop off. So it won't do bad, but it won't do good. It'll just kind of be, it'll make enough money that they'll keep it going for a year or two at least. People will have their opinions. Oh, it did horrible because it didn't sell so many, but no one really knows what the studio wants out of it. They will, unless they tell us, right? So we can't really know. But as long as the game doesn't shut off within the first year, then you can't say it was a total failure. And unless we see the game shut off in the first year, or they do something that's very dramatic, like Destiny is also being Destiny is being canceled now, and they don't give us any reason of. Let's say like Destiny numbers are up, for Edge of Fate or whatever, and they don't drop down to the same levels that we've had this last year, and then Destiny gets canceled because Marathon didn't sell a lot, then even I would maybe speculate that Destiny was canceled for that reason. But I think more likely they can be independent reasons for each other. So I'm going to see what the beta holds on the dwindling numbers thing, because I think the biggest thing when I was listening to Aztecross and some other streamers, the main reason why I'm doing it was two-part. A, there's just not tons of people to play with in the alpha, and so you can't always get your crew together. But also B, not everything's here yet, even on the PvP side, and so there wasn't really that many things to grind yet.
And they're going to clean it. They're going to clean the exterior areas up. Ziggler said that. So I realize it's an alpha. It's a rough form, but I remember from the Bungie, the Destiny 1 alpha, it didn't look much different from the beta. Just saying. It just didn't look much different. So I don't know how much they can do in this small amount of time, but they did say they were going to clean it up. So we'll see.
Oh, yeah, you can do a lot, because also the alpha, there were some rumors it was a 6-month-old build, but that wasn't true. But we found out it was about a 2-month-old build. So what we saw in the alpha was actually 2 months worse than what we have today in their behind-the-scenes development. And then there's still another 5 months on top of that before the final release comes out. So we have a good 7-8 months, depending on some people's opinion on what can be tightened up. Now, you're not going to be seeing all new systems, but you can still do a fair amount in 5, 6, 7 months, remember, because the alpha is 2 months behind. So
today's May 1st. It's 4 months away, Kingsley. It's 4 months.
Yeah, and then plus the 2 months, because the alpha is behind by 2 months. So what we're playing in the alpha is actually not what's really.
Gotcha. Follow you. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So those are all the things. I'm not so worried right now. I don't think it's going to affect Destiny.
Yep.
And also, people need to remember in the community, don't play this game just because you play Destiny 2. Really make sure you like an extraction shooter before you buy it. If you buy it and you hate it, I kind of say you're at fault for buying
On
it.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. And then my other just end point is they shouldn't have ever made this game in the first place. But that's I always go with the simplest answer. I don't go with like they shouldn't have made it because Destiny this or that. Like they just shouldn't have made it.
Hey, come on, guys. I was gonna throw shit. I was gonna have some highfalutin idea.
All good.
It's been a while.
Good.
It's been a while, right? It's been a while since I've come up with some really crazy shit out there, but I was due. Anyway, let's bring in our question of the week into this conversation because our question of the week was, did Bungie make a mistake releasing Marathon in September against Borderlands 4? And of course, 24 hours later, something happened that I've never, ever seen happen. Randy Pitchford tweets out that they're moving the game up 2 weeks to the 12th of September.
It has happened before.
Has it?
Is rare.
I've never heard that happen.
I promise.
It's always the other way.
Well, it's probably games you don't care about, but
Okay.
I promise. I read an article. I can find it for you.
It's all right. It's all right.
Games do move up.
I believe you.
sometimes.
I believe you. I'm not. I don't know enough about any of that to do, but I guarantee you. You don't think the head of PlayStation said, "Whoa, wait a minute here. We got to get Marathon successful." You don't think they went to Randy and said, "Hey, Randy, you need to move the game up, buddy." So I think there was because they're in the next Sony the Sony big, what is it called, the up next or what's next the reveal thing they have where they're going to talk about even more stuff coming out. You don't think Randy said, "Well, you got to get us in one of your special events then if you're going to want me to move it up 2 weeks." I just wonder if there was a little bit of phone call there. I don't know. Randy be crazy enough to do it.
Borderlands and Marathon players would be the same players at all?
They're not, but the curiosity's
not
there.
Even close.
It's a looter shooter versus a game you get loot, and that enough creates curiosity. But it even if it was totally different players,
not at all.
I still think it would cannibalize on that first opening week. I still think it would only hurt each studio for launching on the same exact day. Just crazy.
But there's always games that do that. There's nothing that can be perfect. And if it only cannibalize, so it would only cannibalize for a week then, in your opinion? Because some people could say it could cannibalize for 2 months. So where do you draw the line?
Well, that comes down to what is the hook that's going to keep people playing. Borderlands, I know, is going to have a hook. They're going to have a ton of loot and probably some new cool loot. I've heard they've smoothed out the pixelation, so the shaders or the shader style that they have is going to be a little bit tighter, a little bit cleaned up, looking a little more modern. You don't think people are going to be?
Did you know a lot of people actually play 2 games at a time, even though you don't?
I know, but see, I always think about the guy who's working a 9 to 5, comes home and says, "Okay, what am I going to play tonight before I go to bed and do it all over again?" And that's me. I'm working my 9 to 5. I come home and I'm like, "Okay, I got 3 or 4 hours. What am I going to play for tonight?" And that's the way I think of it. I know there's people out there who maybe work from home and can play all day long for a couple hours at a time. I realize there's all kinds.
Even at night, what they'll do is they'll play one game for 1 hour and then the other game for 1 hour,
True,
even if they have 2 hours total. Yeah.
See, I can't. It's hard for me to do that because I don't know if it's my condition or what, but once I get into a game, I need to get to a finishing point in the game and then feel good about going over and playing another game. I'm going to try Baldur's Gate 3 only because there's not a lot to do in Destiny. That's the only reason why I want to try Baldur's Gate 3 is because I know I'm not going to miss anything. There's not going to be any FOMO over here. And if there is, fine. I got my raid nights and stuff. I can run and do stuff. But anyway, I tell you what, we did do a poll. It was a yes or no poll. And it was almost dead even split. But we did have a few comments. I wonder.
But most people voted before the date changed too. So
of course.
Yeah.
But there were some important comments in here, and Dimwee kind of exacerbates the point here. He says, "I don't think any month would have been smart this year with the insane titles that are dropping." SV6 Mad said, "Double-edged sword here, potentially different demographic and audience, but suspect people will argue if it doesn't perform well because of the competition from Borderlands 4. This has been conveyed. You repeat your point, Kingsley.
Yeah.
They would need to pick a lane, not be something for everybody. I get that. Dorath chimed in. He says, might be a smart move. Releasing it against Borderlands 4 guarantees it won't be released against GTA 6. That is a good point, Dorath. That is.
No one knows when that's coming out.
JD
It's
Kent,
rumored middle of October.
JD
right?
Kent, there's always bounties to do, brother. There's always, you got to get paid when you play.
Have you heard the rumor of GTA 6? It's rumored middle of October right now, but no one knows for sure. It could even
Really?
get pushed back still. Yeah.
You know, people get so excited about GTA 6. I'm definitely going to play it. I mean, come on. It's a juggernaut of a game, and I definitely want to jump in the online community. I want to see what they've changed since 5, but
even if there's stuff going on in Destiny.
And it's Florida, man. I'll probably get all kinds of references and go, they nailed that reference. The gator was in the pool while someone was wanting to swim laps.
Will you actually play it, even if there's stuff going on in Destiny?
Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely going to play it.
So you can play two games at the same time.
I'll have a night where I'll stream it probably and just mess around and play around and do something. I'm trying to do that a little bit more, but it's such a juggernaut of a game. It's probably the only exception out there. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, and then they talk about the GTA, talking about mid-October, just highlighting any comments here. Deadpool and Merc, I feel no matter what month they released it would be tough. There are so many games coming out this year, but we would have to wait and see how it does. Jimmy Rayner said, one did poorly because they bricked your PC if you installed it. I hope Marathon 2025 doesn't do that. Let's see. Who else chimed in here? That was it. That was the majority of the comments. There were a lot of people back and forth on the argument of it, but I think we pretty much got the gist of it, that no, it's not going to be a scapegoat, but I just thought it was a bonehead move to release it on the same day. I'm talking for Sony here. Why would Sony have two major games released at the same day? That just doesn't make sense. Just from a visibility point of view. But anyway, but yeah, I wanted to bring in our question of the week, and I promise those in the Discord, thank you for chiming in. We had about over 20, almost 30 people chime in this week as well. Thank you for doing that, by the way.
Thank you so much, people. We always like lots of votes.
And I promise there's no marathon question of the week next week. I'll come up with something else. And if you want me to do something wacky, I'll do it. I'll do your favorite dessert. I will do it. We will have those kind of weeks. But all right, we got to get some questions from our community before we head out tonight, Kingsley. We'll do that right after this. Hey Guardians, would you like to send a question for the show to us? There's 4 ways to do it.
Join our Discord server. There's a link in our show notes. We have all kinds of Guardians here, from new lights to the dedicated hardcore gamers, and you can just lurk and hang out or jump right in and talk with us. It's up to you. There's also a channel labeled Podcast Questions where you can type in your question for the show.
You can email us at guardiandowncast@gmail.com, or we also occasionally tweet about our upcoming show and guest, and you can respond there with your question at Guardian_D_cast is our Twitter handle.
Finally, you can send us a voicemail with your questions at speakpipe.com/GuardianDowncast, and we'll play it live on the show.
Thank you for all you do for our show. And Toddles.
And later, Guardian.
Hey, man. It's in the contract. That's my line.
We'll see about that. Laz?
Oh, no, not Laz again. Our podcast attorney, really? You're going there?
Damn right, man. I pay him just as much as you do. That does sound weird, though. We're both paying him.
Yeah, what the hell? He's double dipping, man. Well, that was a blast from the past. I'll have the latest one in next week. Sorry about that, guys. That's a Hazelnut. One of the old OG hosts of Guardian Downcast. Okay. This is the part of our show where we get our questions from you guys. And I wanted to start out with Mr. JD Kent. He had a question, a Destiny-related question for us this week. He goes, with the new automated anti-cheat, does this make you less likely to join a fire team with players you don't know? I would hate to lose my account over someone else cheating it in an LFG team you joined randomly. What do you think about this, Kingsley?
Well, this is an interesting question. At first glance, I'm like, there shouldn't be any issues. Like, no, it doesn't make me worried about that. Now, I don't know if he asked this question because of this, but I feel like I saw it after his question, but there was like a tweet and Bungie responded. It was one of those rare things where you get some information
Right.
without them posting it out to everyone. It was more of a response to someone.
Mhm.
And someone asked the same question. Like, basically, they said, I joined someone who was, doing a raid, and then they insta did something in 6 seconds, and the guy said, watch out, everyone's going to get banned because he did something that was bannable. And they're like, well, crap, like, why should we get banned? So they asked Bungie the question, like, with this more automated system, will people that join a fire team potentially get banned also? Basically, what Bungie said, they mostly said, don't worry about it, but there could still be some concern. They said, look, like, just that alone will not probably get you banned, especially if you have good record, you're not already like being looked into by any of the automated systems or them. And also they said, though, please report the person. Now, that's a little bit crappy because that puts the pressure back on you. And yes, you should report people, but what they're kind of almost implying is that if you don't report that, you might temporarily get banned. And that would suck. But this goes back to the thing we were saying, there will be some false positives.
Yeah.
I said this. And I'm not worried that this will happen until we start hearing from people that it's happening. And then it's just going to be super annoying. Like, everyone's going to be like, oh, I just got to be really vigilant and see if someone's doing something stupid, and I got to report them so I won't get banned also. Or if someone does get temporarily banned, you will be able to come back because you'll put in the little report thing, and then they'll look into your account also and saw that you weren't the fire team lead or the one doing that crazy mechanic, and then you will be back. But I do hope it doesn't cause more problems.
Yeah, I would.
Long way of answering the question. But
No,
I
I
don't
followed.
think it'll be a problem, but
Yeah.
it could. Who knows? We'll see.
I remember when remember the mass bans when the PC beta came out for Destiny 2. I was one of those that got banned, IP banned, and it was devastating because I'm a big time Destiny player. If you haven't found out yet, I was checking.
IP is better than an account ban, actually, because you can eventually change your IP address.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
kind of underhanded. And I know I
Yeah.
could call my ISP and say, listen, I need you to change my.
But
you
an
know,
account ban would be even worse.
I
but yeah.
guess, but you have different
Yeah.
accounts. I mean, I've got like several accounts. It would be easier for me
Most
just to
people
log
don't.
in. I know,
Yeah.
but you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying. But I think if the cheater is in your fire team, you made this fire team with the cheater, then I think you could possibly get banned. But if you're joining just a game in progress or you're matched with them, I've been in those games where there were two guys that were DDoSing. And I was the third in a team of 3. I think it was in Trials back in early Destiny 2. And the guy was talking to his buddy like, yeah, I got it. It's this one. I'm like, what the hell's going on? He's reading IP addresses and he's matching them to the players on the other side. And one by one, I see the players dropping. And I was so naive back then. I didn't know what the hell was going on. But eventually I realized these guys they're DDoSing people on the other side and kicking them out of the game so we can just run over and win the game. And at first I was like, oh, okay, this is awesome. Then I said, whoa, wait a minute. No. I don't want to be a part of this group. So I left. And that's what you got to, I mean, if you see someone cheating in your fire team, report them and leave. I mean, that's all I can tell you. But the automated part of it, JD Kent, I would worry about that because they're going to have to work out the bugs. They're going to have to work out the wrinkles and stuff at first. So the good news is that they have an appeal system now. Back then, there was no appeal. When they had that mass ban during the, when I got banned for having an overlay built into the game, which I didn't know what I was doing back then. I was just trying to screen cap stuff. And I was using code from an overlay part of the program I was using, and I didn't know what was going on, but it was inserting code into the game because it was gameplay, not screen cap. Now I know the difference, but there was no appeal.
How did you get your account back if there wasn't an appeal?
Because they had so many people that did not understand.
They just did it.
They just reversed that, and thank God they did because like I said, I was devastated, man. That was all I needed to hear, and I was like, nope. I'm not getting anywhere close to any of that anymore. So if I'm in a fire team, and that happens, I'll just back out. It's not worth the cheap win. It's not worth it. So
Well,
thanks.
yeah, but backing out might not be enough. We should report,
'em,
but I
yes.
also hate how like Bungie's almost like putting more of the pressure on us because they don't have as many employees now. They're like, if you don't report, you might get banned.
And that brings up
And
another
like, I just
point.
don't like that, you know?
I
Like,
wonder.
yes, you should report, but like, also don't make us report something.
Yeah.
Like, what if I don't know, what if we don't have the mental ability to report at the moment? It shouldn't
Yeah.
mean that we get banned just because someone else was doing something bad. But anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I would think, you know, I report people all the time for cheating or not DDoSing. I don't see DDoSing as much as I used to anymore because everybody uses a proxy server now, but especially if they're streaming. But I see more of I was watching a big time Destiny streamer, and he had cheaters, a whole clan of cheaters. And he was streaming, and he was like, let's see what you got. Let's see what you got. And they were sitting there, you know, teabagging and goofing off, and they were showing him, dude, it looked like butterflies flying around him in this game. I was like, how on earth is this illegal? I mean, how on earth are they not banning these people like right now? So I report people all the time when I'm playing Crucible, and I always wonder if it's just going to deaf ears. But maybe this new automated system, if it's more than like 6 reports, someone gets like 10 reports over a day span, and I realize there could be abuse there. But, you know, maybe that would at least trigger the bot or whatever, the automation, to at least look that way and see if there's anything fishy there, you know? I don't know. Just saying.
Yeah.
We got a lot of non-Destiny questions tonight. Zombie Pop starts... Well, actually, I want to ask this one. Jimmy put this one in a long time ago, and I know you're a Ubisoft player, so I wanted to ask this to you. With the creation of the new Ubisoft entity, purely for the management of their 3 biggest brands, and it's no secret Ubisoft's been in trouble lately, purely for the management of their 3 biggest brands, do you think that AAA companies that struggle to earn their overblown budgets back will go down that path? And he puts an edit in here. It says, maybe sooner than I thought. So apparently there's Bloomberg News talks about.
Well, and Bungie can go down that path too. I mean, Bungie
Yep.
has been in just the same amount of financial trouble that, you know, just at different levels than compared to Ubisoft. Yeah, probably. Who knows what's going on with game studios and economy these days?
Okay.
I don't really care what happens as long as a game comes out. I'll play it.
Yeah, we don't want our studios to go away. That's hence why I had that topic last time. Tajo Trade had
like,
one
even
here.
If, real quick,
Yeah.
you know, it'd be so funny if
that?
like Bungie, like Sony didn't want to deal with Bungie anymore, and Bungie went back to like Activision or Microsoft.
Bungie gets independent again. Just does Destiny.
Yeah.
Oh my God. How many times has that been done?
How many times has that been done too? I don't even know what's best these days, except I still did like, even though Activision was a crappy company, I liked it better with Activision because there was more sub studios to make more content.
Yeah.
So it's such a catch-22. Like, I have things that I feel are important also just for being nice to humans, but at the same time, I was selfish and I enjoyed the extra content that Bungie had back then.
And remember, if you remember, Activision had Raven. Was it Raven Studios back then? It helped out with some of the Forsaken.
There was multiple studios. There was at least 2 other studios.
There were some studios that made some
Destiny
great content.
Yeah.
They made some great stuff, and we don't have those anymore. So that's probably the reason why stuff gets delayed, and we don't, maybe because there's less content coming out over this next year. It's a more centralized version. Tajo Trade had a question here. He goes, how many Mission Impossibles does it take before they realize that the mission is indeed possible? Trailer recently dropped for the newest movie in the franchise. I'm going to go see it, by the way, JD. Tajo Trade. It's been on my list for a while. I watched the part 1, and this supposedly is going to be the end of Mission Impossible. I don't think Tom Cruise is, he's 60 years old now, man. I don't know if he can do his own stunts anymore. What do you think, Kingsley? And you think there's going to be any more Mission Impossibles?
Well, I'm actually reading this question a different way because they even had the old thing before the new movies of Mission Impossible. But it is kind of a funny name. It's like, it's one of these, ha ha ha, that's a funny name. But then you realize really quickly, like, should they have named it that in the long run? Because they are doing the mission every single time. You know what I mean?
I need you to trust me one more time.
Yeah.
My wife and I say that to each other every time.
I wasn't reading this so much of, will they make another movie? I was reading it so much of like, will people realize?
He's joking at the title, obviously, yeah.
I know, right? Because it is always like that in the movies too. It's like, we're going to give you this crazy task, and you know the movie's not going to end with them failing the whole thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Obviously, the movie's not going to fail. Like,
Oh, it's
can you
funny.
imagine you get to the end of the movie and they didn't do any of the mission?
Dude, I'd
and then
be
just
I'd be
roll
like
credits.
I'd be standing, bravo, no happy ending. I love it. Let the world burn.
Well, I kind of would too, actually.
I would.
I kind of would too.
I've seen movies like that where I'm like, whoa, they just kicked me in the nuts at the end of this movie. I'm walking out of the movie going, they actually did that.
You know
There was
what?
no happy
That would
ending.
be so brilliant. The very last movie, but no, I would think the general public wouldn't like it. But the very
Yeah.
last movie, they're like, this is the lot. They tell us like
Dude.
right when the movie gets released, this is the last movie that's coming
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
and we get to the very end, and they don't finish the
The
mission.
mission was impossible, man. What do you expect, dude? Come on.
Oh, I love how this question took a turn.
Thank you for that, Tajo. That was good. That was good. Odo even chimed in. He goes, take James Bond and multiply it by Fast and Furious. Yeah, exactly. Though I do want to see another James Bond movie, though. I grew up on James Bond movies. Let's see. Ronan Red Lion. A friend and I were talking about how movies and TV for several years frequently featured some kind of suspenseful sinking hazard scene, like quicksand or a sinkhole. What's your most memorable sinking scene? Oh man, I don't read these beforehand, by the way, guys. It's off the top of my head. What do you get? What do you think, Kingsley?
Yeah.
Most memorable
I don't
sinking
think-
scene.
I don't know that this is really my answer, but without thinking about it more, just going quick off the cuff, of course, being a young kid, the Star Wars pit, you go in the sand,
Boy, you
what
squirm.
the hell is that creature called? Yeah.
Yep.
That was very memorable.
That
to
was
me.
memorable. That was
I don't know if it's really the answer I want to give, but it's all I can think of right now.
Yeah, man, I'm trying to think. All the movies I've seen, sinking feeling. I mean, you could even consider that a ship, right? Like Titanic sinking,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
hanging onto a piece of foam or whatever it's left, a piece of wood, and he sinks into oblivion. That's a great scene. All I can think of right now is that time that all right, short story here. My dad and I were wanting to learn some flats fishing techniques, and we were at the Florida Outdoors, the big Bass Pro Shops over in International Drive where all the tourists hang out. And there's a lot of guides go there that aren't really guides. They just have a boat. And this guy was, talking about how he knows it like the back of his hand and all that. And he had a 15-foot Boston whaler with 3 people on it. And a 15-foot boat is not very big. And we went to Mosquito Lagoon, which we actually knew Mosquito Lagoon well, but he was going in areas where I wouldn't dare bring my boat. And he said, well, I have to bring you guys there one at a time because it's too heavy. The boat's going to get into the mud and it won't go anywhere. The engine will bog down. So we're like, okay, fine. My dad is in the middle of an island, sitting on the middle of an island in the middle of the Mosquito Lagoon with boats whizzing around him. And this guy's bringing me over to this corner little pocket area and drops me into the water. Soon as I hit the water, I sink 2 feet. I'm up to my neck. And I've been in that situation where if you move, you go down an inch. You move a little bit more, you go down another inch. By the time he had my dad back over to pick me up, I literally had my mouth at the top of the water like this. Talk about a way to go, man. Can you imagine drowning
Wow.
in 2 feet of water because you're in basically quicksand in the middle of a flats area? Needless to say, that guy gave us our money back, whether he wanted to or not. So
Yeah, you can drown. Yeah, people always think drown is like going deep. No, it's just getting water in your lungs. You can drown in 1 or 2 feet of water.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's where my mind went. So sorry. My ADHD just went right there, and I blocked out any other movies I've ever seen of sinking stuff. But there's been plenty of movies out there about quicksand, mainly a lot of TV shows I watched in the past too. But that's the only one thing I can think of right now. Sorry, Ronan. Zombie Pops. With summer and hot weather right around the corner, hydration is key. Water or sports drink, and what brand, including water, because not all water tastes the same. Tell my wife that. She only gets one brand of water. It's crazy. I like Body Armor sports drink, but Aquafina if I gotta grab a water. By the way, my wife cannot stand Aquafina. She says it tastes weird. Zephyr Hills or nothing. That's all she drinks. I'm ratting her out. I don't care.
Different waters do taste different to me too.
It's probably minerals, I'm sure, but
Yeah.
I'll answer first. I keep throwing it to you. I'll answer first. Let you
Oh,
think
you
on
can. Yeah, go ahead.
it. I'm not really particular on sports drinks. I have to drink a ton of them every day because I work outside. And if you don't hydrate in Florida, you'll sweat a gallon of sweat a day, especially in the deep times of summer. I mean, as soon as you walk outside, the moisture's sticking to you. And what's really bad about high humidity is you don't always feel like you're sweating as much as you are. And if there's any kind of breeze or anything too, it can make it even worse. Powerade, I know I get Powerade because it's cheap, and I drink so much of it that I've just gotten cheap in my old ways. Obviously, I'd have to go Gatorade Zeros because I'm old and calories count. So I always get 0 calorie stuff. But actually, I think about it now, having a few calories would be a good thing because you need that energy to burn, especially if you're in a heat environment. But it has to have a lot of, most of your sports drinks out there don't have enough of the micronutrients that you need, all those salts and stuff that you need to really, truly hydrate yourself. So what I do is I actually carry salt capsules in my truck that are for like long distance runners and like marathon runners. It's made for them. And I'll pop one of those in the middle of the day. And I'm telling you, man, you get those electrolytes in your system at the right amount, you'll get an energy burst just like that without eating anything. So it's whatever's on sale, but it's between usually Powerade and Gatorade. And in the morning, it's always a big, tall glass of water for me. What about you, Kingsley?
Yeah, and 100% water can have different tastes between bottles and between taps too. Like, I'm a big tap drinker if it tastes good, but even just within Utah, different cities have way different flavors depending on how they source the water and how much chlorine they may put in it versus another city and things like that. So
Right.
I don't understand people that can never taste any difference in water at all. Like, have you tried enough differences? But anyways, for water, I prefer a sports drink too, and I'll get to that in a second. For water, these days, what I prefer, because you can get a pretty good price on Walmart or Amazon, I like the Liquid Death. Liquid Death, just regular mountain water. I like the still Liquid Death. They actually have a pretty good amount of natural electrolytes in it. It's nothing like a sports drink, but they have 2 different sources, actually 2 different springs. If you're on the East Coast, they source it from somewhere, I think in North Carolina or something. But on the West Coast, they source it from a spring in Idaho. And I really like how the water tastes. And Liquid Death is my go-to for water. I also like drinking it out of, I'm not on camera tonight, but drinking it out of these cans, I prefer than like a bottle.
Really?
Yeah, I can't close it with a cap afterwards, but usually I'm just going to chug it anyways.
Yeah.
I prefer drinking water this way.
Yeah.
Tap water, I'm fine with. Mostly our local city tap water is okay, although there's other cities in Utah that taste a lot better. But my go-to is definitely Powerade, Blue Powerade Zero.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
I'll go
like
get it
that
right
one?
now. I swear I'll go get it right
Oh,
now. It
good.
tastes very good. It's something
love
about
it.
it.
Yeah.
It does. Powerade
Yeah.
Blue Zeros taste
Yes.
awesome. I just bought 6
I've
of
got
them
it-
for this last week.
Oh, I have a recurring subscription through
Really?
Amazon that drops off like every other week.
I should do
Yeah.
that. I should do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I can't
and
believe we drink the same Powerade.
that's hilarious. I love that. We're
Holy shit.
Powerade buddies.
All right. Oh, that's
So-
awesome.
So a Powerade does have more electrolytes than Gatorade, but you're
Probably.
right. It's still not like the
not
professional
enough.
stuff.
Yeah.
But I like the flavor. I always liked the sugary Blue Powerade also, but when I found out they had the Zero and I tried it, and it tastes pretty darn
same.
close in my opinion.
They're using
Yeah.
sweeteners. They're using sweeteners, probably aspartame
Well,
or
yeah, but it's the
but-
sweetener that is basically no calories. So
exactly.
you can, and you're
Yeah.
right. If you are truly like sick or like have no energy at all, you do want a little bit of sugar.
sugars. Yeah.
But for someone like me who just needs to drink more liquids and I'm not outside all the time, Powerade
Right,
Zero is a
right.
healthy choice than the sugar
Yeah.
Powerade. So
I don't drink my
yeah.
calories. That's my thing. And if
I
I
don't
drink
really
if I
either.
drink if I
I-
drank 110 calorie Cokes and Pepsis all the time, dude, I'd be 300 pounds. I'd be way overweight because not shaming anybody. I'm just saying I'd be a lot heavier than I am now. But yeah, Powerade Soulmates, JD Kent. And he says, have you ever noticed, JD Kent says, have you ever noticed every summer the sports drink bottles keep getting smaller and cost the same? The 32-ounce bottles are gone. Yeah, it's 28 ounces now. Yeah, that's how they raise
let me
the price
see,
without raising the price.
I know, but if you have like a Walmart or a Amazon subscription, let me see
Yeah.
how much I can get the Powerade 8-pack for, or is it a 10-pack?
Oh, you buy the smaller bottles? See, I buy the
No, no, no.
32s
Well,
or
let's see what
20,
ounce I
28s,
usually-
28s or
Well,
30s or whatever they are.
I do the 20s. I like the 20-ounce ones.
I got you.
So
I got you.
they come in an 8-pack, and guess how much you can get it at Walmart for an 8-pack of 20 ounces?
Mm-mm.
$5.98, $6 total plus tax or
It's
whatever,
not
you
bad.
know. But
Well,
that's
see
good for an 8-pack.
what I do, because it gets so hot in my truck during the day. I have 2 Yetis thermoses. I have a 32 ounce and I got like a 28 ounce. And I'll just pour the drink cold right in there. I don't have to use ice or anything because Yetis are awesome. They keep it cold for 2 days if
No,
you let it.
you're right. I
But
did
that's
that
what I
back in the
do.
day some. Yeah.
That's what I do. But in the heat of the summer where it's really cold, really, really crazy hot, I actually have a half-gallon 64-ounce Yeti stainless steel. It is a pain in the ass to bring to work, but if I need those days where I need to get a gallon of water in me during the day, and believe me, I've done this for actually hit my 30-year anniversary in business just this month. 30 years of doing the same thing. I know it's crazy to even think about, but there's a reason why I can survive the summers. If you're in Florida and you survive the summer, you're really a true Floridian. It's like the rite of passage if you want to live in Florida. But speaking of spring waters, Zephyr Hills, my wife loves Zephyr Hills. And I got to admit, I'll drink anything water if I'm thirsty. But Zephyr Hills actually comes from a spring in North Florida. And if the thing that's different about Florida versus a lot of states out there, a lot of states, you get your water supply from rivers and stuff. Florida has an uncanny amount of underground rivers called the aquifer. And we have springs everywhere across the state. And God forbid, if we ever suck up and empty out those aquifers, we're screwed. We might as well get desalinization plants going because we're going to have to suck out of the water to get our water supply. But it's a problem in Florida is the population keeps increasing and we're taking more and more from our aquifers. But anyway, good question, Zombie Pops.
Powerade buddies.
Powerade buddies. There's our title. Dorath has one more here before we go. What are 2 things that you think are normal?
Tajo too, real quick. Sorry.
Oh.
He's also blue Powerade Zero.
Is he really? I'll be damned. Sorry, I'm not
should
looking
that
in
be the
chat.
question?
I'm not
Like-
looking in chat.
Sorry.
I'm
So many people are like blue Powerade.
I don't know what it is about blue Powerade. It's not blueberry. It's like I can't
It's some
picture.
mixed shit. Who cares? It just tastes
can't-
good.
I've actually mixed blue and yellow. I know, sacrilege, but I've mixed flavors before. If I got half of one in a bottle, I'm just like, screw it. I put it in there because I'm going to down it all anyway. And who cares? Your body doesn't care to make the difference. But Dorath had one more question here. And he says, what are 2 things that you think are normal, but become really strange when you do them repeatedly? Normal, but when you do them repeatedly.
In
Man.
context, strange to the general public, or
Yeah,
just strange
that's a
to us,
thinker.
or
I'm trying to think the
that's a
context.
thinker.
2 things that you think are normal, but become really strange. You want to, Dorath, are you in,
Well, I know one.
okay.
I know one actually.
Maybe you give me an example to give me a spark an idea for me.
Yeah, and this is not throwing shame on anything, but like the religion I used to be in, it was pretty normal for them to teach us to say a prayer before every meal, and even kind of in your mind if you were out at a restaurant or something. So a lot of times my parents would just kind of like real quickly before they took a bite to eat, kind of like bow their head just a little bit, not make a big scene or anything, but just kind of internally say like a little prayer for the food. Totally normal if you're in the religion, totally fine. I'm not knocking it, but to me, being out and out seems weird. Like, so you can take it either way. It could be normal or weird. Yeah.
I would, it's something that I do actually that is considered normal, but if you knew how many times a day I did it, you'd go, man, that's just weird. I live in Florida.
We're keeping it rated G, right?
It's rated G. There's two things that I do repeatedly that most people may not think are normal. I live in Florida, and I'm sorry, but we sweat in Florida. Winter, summer, fall, whenever we sweat. I take 2 showers, sometimes 3 showers a day, because if I go outside and the humidity's sticking to me and I'm sweating up my shirts and stuff, and that's another thing. If I wear a shirt and it gets sweated up, I don't let it dry out. It goes right in the dirty clothes, because once the bacteria is in your shirt, you got to get it into the dirty clothes. Another thing I do, because of my business, I deal with chemicals and pesticides and stuff, is I wash my hands a lot. My hands are probably calloused and dry because, all right, that's a third one, JD. I'll mention that one next. I wash my hands, like if I'll pet my dog, and dogs aren't the cleanest. I mean, let's face it, they lick themselves all the time. I'll pet my dog and go, oh no, I'll wash my hands. As soon as I pet him, I'll go wash my hands. If I go outside and I grab the hose to fill my tank or something on my truck, I'll come in and wash my hands, even though I didn't touch any pesticide or anything. It's just a habit I have because I'm so worried about pesticides or poisons getting in my system, my bloodstream. Even though most of the products I use aren't systemic, you still think about that. And there's people who smoke and drink that actually are bringing the pesticide up to them and actually vaporizing it and smoking it. It goes right into their system. So I wash my hands a lot. I would say 30 times a day minimum. And I take a minimum of 2 showers a day, sometimes 3. And okay, JD Kent, oatmeal on my bagel. Every morning I'll have oatmeal. Not every morning, but if I have a bagel and oatmeal, the oatmeal is a little dollop of oatmeal is going on the bagel and then I'm eating it. I think that's normal, but I guess maybe not. I don't know, whatever. So you guys
It's
are
less work if you just
several
keep it on your
examples.
spoon and put it in your mouth.
I know, but I like what I like. I don't apologize, right?
Yeah, no,
Admiral
of course,
Nips?
of course.
Yeah. Actually, Tajo had one more here. I skipped over it. Lakefront type of person or beachfront type of person. Gonna put this in speedrun channel 2. Yeah, it'll be a speedrun question
Oh, I
next
like
year.
that because usually people are like beach
is.
versus forest, but this is actually lake versus beach. So,
Mhm. Being that you're landlocked, does that make you no? But you're Southern Cal though. So what are
well,
you?
I grew up in SoCal. Yeah, I'm definitely beach over lake.
Me too.
Because also typically lakes will be in forest areas. Not always, not
Yeah.
always, but there's something about the ocean and the beach that I just really like. I love going to Hawaii. I love
Oh, yeah.
oceans. I love everything like that. I love lakes for sure,
Yeah.
but I love the mountains in Utah. But if I had to pick, beach is my answer.
So good showers. It's definitely ocean for me. Whenever I swim in bodies of water in Florida, I hate swimming in lakes. I even water skied on the lake and boogie boarded and all that stuff. And when I fell in the water, I did not like it. It's the water's warm. You know, you hear about the amoeba scares every now and then when it gets really, really hot in the summers. You do have to worry about that in Florida. Even if it's a spring-fed lake, you know, the summers get the temperatures well above 85 water temps usually. And there's something about the ocean, even if the water temp's 85, which it is down here in Florida in the summer, there's something about the cleansing effect of salt water. You can have a scratch, a wound. I have people that go to salt rooms here in Florida so they can breathe salt air to help alleviate their lung problems if they have asthma and stuff. Definitely the ocean for me. It's a no-brainer. So there you go, Tajo. That's all I got. Anything else? We have a few questions left. I'll save those for the next time around, guys. I try to make sure everybody gets their question and at least talk to one person each that has left a question. If you left a duplicate question there, I usually push it to the next show. So thank you, everybody, for putting your questions in. I always love answering stuff like that all the time. So, yeah, I think Kingsley, are we forgetting something, or that's the show, man? I think we're right at 2 hours,
that
man.
should be the
That's
show.
is that a
unless you have
first for
some
us?
surprise.
I think that's a first for us. We actually got in under the 2:15 mark. We always seem to go a little later
15,
than that.
huh? I thought you were going to say 2 because that's more memorable than 2:15. But
I don't think we've maybe one time have we
Maybe one
gone
time,
2 hours, but we usually go a little over the 2 hour mark. So thanks, guys, for stopping out
and
tonight.
we still talked a lot of good stuff.
We did. And yeah, all right. I was due for a tinfoil hat theory. So hopefully you guys were enthused by that tonight. You know, you just never know, man. I worry about marathon, and I hope it's a great success, but I have my concerns. So, and that's all I'm going to talk about marathon, because I think everyone is tired of hearing about marathon. So I'm done. So
I worry more about Destiny.
Well,
As a separate point.
we finally get to know what's coming for Destiny coming around the corner here next
But
reset.
We'll loop back to my conversation in September or October. Okay.
You got it, man. You got it.
We'll see how we're doing then.
Hey, make sure you guys save the sound bites, right? Yeah, okay, you can play it back for me and send it in a voicemail or something. Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out. Kingsley, I know you were a little under the weather tonight. Thanks for sticking it out, buddy. I appreciate you. A Powerade buddy. And thanks everyone in the Discord for hanging out with us. The YouTube channel, our Twitch channel out there. Thank you guys for doing that. I've actually satisfied everything for my partnership for Twitch, but I think I think they have to reach out to me. I got to look into this. Maybe I talked to HD Tech because he's already partnered, and maybe Elmer Fudd, he's already partnered out there too. So I've got the concurrent viewers on Twitch. So thank you guys for stopping by and covering both channels like there, especially you, JD Ken. I see you in both of them out there. But that's it for this week, guys. Short and sweet. Next week, Kingsley and I will be back. We're going to talk about all the great news from the big Bungie reveal of Destiny 2. I'm excited. So,
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night, and we'll see you in the Discord. Later, Guardians.
Have a good one.
You timed it perfect. Awesome.